It's time to pull up a stool and grab your spot at the bar. The stadiums are dark, the scoreboards are off, and the final whistle has long since blown. But in here, the lights stay on. Welcome to the ETB Lounge on the Empty the Bench Network. This is your official post-game nightcap, where we break down the biggest hits, pour one out for the heartbreaks, and dive into the stories that linger long after the clock hits zero. Whether you're here for sharp analysis or one last round of sports talk with the best fans in the game, you've come to the right place. The games are over, and the conversation is just getting started. The playoff intensity is redlining and the pressure is mounting, but today we pause the action for the women who taught us how to handle it all. Welcome back into the lounge, everybody. Hello, my friends. My name is Callan McClurg, and welcome back inside the ETB Lounge. It is Sunday, May the 10th. It is Mother's Day. Before we dive into the records of the playoff brackets, a very quick editorial on the ultimate MVP in our lives. In sports, we talk all the time about grit, sacrifice, and the person who stays until the job is done. And nobody out there embodies that more than the mothers who spend their Saturdays on freezing sidelines, 5 a.m. carpools at a hockey rink, and teaching all of us that the character we show in a loss matters more than the trophies that we win. So to all the moms in the lounge tonight, our opening round is on us. I am joined tonight again, as always, by Nick DiMartino, and also, of course, by Connor Rowland and David Waitman. Nick, Connor, and David, welcome back inside the lounge. My friends, how are we doing today? Good to see you guys.
Thanks.
All right. How are you doing?
I wish I was better. Coming down with some kind of sinus headache over the last 24 hours. It's terrible.
Me too. Maybe we got the same thing.
Damn, y'all got that hantavirus early pre-release, huh?
And I didn't get the pleasure of being on a cruise.
Neither did I, exactly. I was at work all weekend from Thursday till last night. So, yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I mean, you know what? We'll get through the show as we usually do here on ETB Lounge. As always, folks, you can find us, as always, on social media throughout the course of the week for all the great stuff that we put out, as always. Again, you can find us on social media. That is at ETB Network and also at the ETB Lounge. And, of course, make sure you like and you subscribe over at youtube.com/ETB Network, getting ever so closer to at least the 2,500 watch hour plateau and threshold, but still, though, on our way for 4,000. So go like and subscribe and go and ring that notification bell so you do not miss any of our content over the course of the week from the entire ETB Network family. Well, with that in mind, though, guys, we are going to move on and get started here today with our round of takes. And we'll get things started, though, guys, over in the NBA playoffs. Of course, we had one series come to a conclusion earlier today with the New York Knicks sweeping away the Philadelphia 76ers today from Xfinity Mobile Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You know, D-Mart, this was some kind of a series that, you know, we talked actually last Thursday morning on moving the goalposts about where should Knick fans have their, you know, should they be, you know, like on top of the world and going overboard and celebrating? But, of course, a 2-0 lead at the time, as we said, though, you don't really do that yet, though. But now, of course, you knock out Philadelphia, you being, of course, the Knicks, though. And the way that they did so today, though, by a 30-point margin to finish off the sweep. And really, with the exception of, it looks like without the exception of just game 2 of the series, really no other game was that close across the board. So, D-Mart, takeaways from the Knicks sweeping away Philadelphia in the Eastern Conference semifinals.
Well, I mean, I would say that my take now is a little different than it was on Thursday when we did the show because I didn't expect this to happen. I don't think anybody did, including like the biggest Knicks optimists would not have thought that this would happen. So the way I see it is that I think Knicks fans should be a lot happier and a lot more optimistic than I would have said on Thursday, because who would have thought we would have swept this series, and not only swept the series, but swept it the way that we did. I would not have expected the Knicks to beat the Sixers in game 3, even if OG had played. I would not have expected that. let alone a total blowout. These last 2 games have been total blowouts. Most of the games that the Knicks have been playing in the past, say, week and a half, not only are they winning all of them, these games aren't even close. Like, this is the most dominant week and a half we've ever seen from the Knicks. Now, it doesn't mean it won't crash and burn at one point. Maybe it will.
True.
But, like, the way the Knicks are playing right now is, I mean, they're the odds-on favorites to make it to the NBA Finals. Now, the Pistons series isn't over yet, so that's a big part of it. But even if the Pistons win, the Knicks are still going to be the favorites to make the finals over the Pistons. It doesn't mean I think the Knicks are necessarily going to win, but this is as good of a chance as we've ever seen from the Knicks. A better chance than they had last year, I think, against Indiana. So I think Knicks fans should be a lot more optimistic than I would have said on Thursday.
I'm curious. I want to dive a little bit deeper into that statement, because when I look at it, I'm a Knicks, I guess you could say, naysayer. I'm very familiar with the Knicks' ability to shoot themselves in the foot. I agree wholeheartedly that both on paper, individually, roster construction, stat-wise, every single metric, when you look at the Knicks from a distance, they look great. They look really well put together. They're all moving well in concert. But then you see them play historically, and no other team really has the weapons that they do and the talent of shooting themselves in the foot. Now, I personally thought that if they were going to choke, it would be to the Hawks due to that rivalry, history, and former curse that affected them for like 16 years. When they went on to the 76ers without Embiid, I kind of just automatically assumed that the Knicks were going to sweep the 76ers, because without Embiid, the 76ers are a very lackluster team in comparison to that roster construction that you see with the Knicks. That being said, I'm still shying away from the optimism or any increase in optimism, because I feel like the moment that they go fight a harder team, a more challenging team, which any team right now would have been more challenging than the 76ers, in my opinion, we're going to see that same talent of shooting themselves in the foot pop up again. Like, for me, that perpetual anxiety that they will do it is ever present. Do you feel that, this momentum is going to allow them to stay that sort of curse at hand, or do you feel like that's going to appear in these later series?
Well, I think that the Knicks can lose without shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, when you say the Knicks have like this unique ability to shoot themselves in the foot, I mean, do they have more of an ability to shoot themselves in the foot than the Cavs do? They're led by James Harden. I mean, who's more known for that than a James Harden Cavs team? I mean, you can say the same thing about them. I think the Knicks are not good enough to win the finals. And they don't need to shoot themselves in the foot to not win the finals. They're not. I don't think they're good enough. I don't think they can beat OKC, even though J-Dub has been hurt. I don't think they're good enough. I don't even think they're good enough to beat the Spurs. But I think the Knicks can still lose without shooting themselves in the foot, if that makes sense.
I get you. They don't need to get in front of their own way to lose. They could just play the game normally and lose as a result.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like Reggie Miller having Hail Mary threes in 9 seconds back in the day, or what Halliburton did last season, or if they do, as Nick said, though, on Thursday, if they get into foul trouble, they kind of get in their own head sometimes. So I guess, David, from the New York perspective to the Philly perspective, obviously the Sixers, again, I would probably say they look gassed after having to mount that comeback to beat the Celtics, and then I think a better team in New York happened to beat them. I do, though, I think want to give a bit of a tip of the cap to Joel Embiid for trying to play through, the injury problems that he has been dealing with. Again, He had that knee rolled up twice in Game 7 against Boston. But I guess, though, David, overall thoughts from your perspective, though, about how Philadelphia looked, though, in this series compared to that one against the Celtics.
You just said it. They were gassed. I mean, also New York was a better team. I mean, they didn't. By the way, also forget to Knicks didn't even have OG Anunoby because of his hamstring. He was out completely. So, I mean, they like you said, it was over by halftime. They had 18 threes in the first half. They were 18-25 from threes. And the Knicks were. It's just the thing with Philly is a lot of things. Paul George is not, to me. He's just not a good player. I mean, he just I think they only had 7 points. I think some of the guys weren't even shooting the ball. Maxey, I don't think had hardly any shots, and VJ had some shot. He shot more, but Knicks are just a better team. They really are. And honestly, if it wasn't for Boston having their issues, they would have been knocked out in round 1. they got themselves a gift on that one. I mean, today was a home game for the Knicks in Philadelphia. That crowd was 95% Knicks fans. They showed them outside, inside. They had brooms in the parking lot. Fans didn't even show up today, and people were like online. They're yelling at each other, and they were like, "Look, it's Mother's Day in Philly. I'm not paying $400 to see the game. I'm going to eat it or try and sell it to a Knicks fan who wants to go." And like you said, when you saw the end of that game, it was basically 95% Knicks fans. They were singing "Na Na Na Hey Goodbye" to Philly fans in their own place. The videos are incredible. Seeing that same with Knicks fans, like they showed up, probably also because it's a lot cheaper to get a ticket in Philly than it is at the Garden.
Well, it's just like you said, that fan mentality. You know, it's great to see a New York presence. I caught the game. I caught a little bit of it, and there was a little blurb that I really enjoyed when Tyrese Maxey got called over for a one-on-one on the coach, and a hot mic from nearby the fans picked up a fan saying, "Enjoy Cancun, you bum." Like, when you have that sort of overwhelming mentality, that presence there on the stage in someone else's stadium, you know, you're bound to make a few errors.
Well, not to mention also, first of all, it's a Sunday, and a trip from where most Knick fans live to Philly probably is doable on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Although Mother's Day might be difficult. There's always a lot of Mother's Day traffic. But if you live in North Jersey, getting to Philly is a bit of a hike, but it's like maybe a 2-hour drive, depending on where you live.
And Knicks fans are starved, you know?
And what?
Knicks fans are starved. Like, to them, this is real. This is happening. There's a shot.
And it's also likely cheaper when you take into account congestion pricing and parking your car and all of that. It might actually be cheaper just to go to Philly than to go to the Garden.
And here's the other thing what they talked about before Game 4. Well, first of all, parking in Philly is like $30, so I can't imagine what it's like in Manhattan. It's probably double.
It's way worse.
Triple,
Okay.
at least triple.
Gotta be.
And any parking garage near that area is like $60 an hour or close to it.
Depending on when you park. But on a day like today, it would in Midtown Manhattan near the Garden, it's probably like upwards of $60.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: they must have once again Philly did a dumb move first off the top, which was they tried to tell Knicks fans not to give them tickets, like buy and whatever. Like if you were in an outside thing, they were blocking you. So they must have opened it up and figured it out. I saw this on Twitter. 75% of the tickets sold were in New York and New Jersey zip codes. Like I said, they were just like, whatever it is, they're going to find a way. And that's why I said they all flocked today. So that's why I said, and Maxey said it best post game. They're asking about that. And he goes, we got to win for this not to happen. Like he goes, otherwise this is going to continue. Knicks fans will come down, or these other fans will come down, and they'll just buy all the tickets. It was ugly. It was an ugly game.
I mean, especially when it's a 30-point loss too for the Sixers against the Knicks, who move on to the Eastern Conference Final. Guys, the other series going on today right now, currently in progress in Minneapolis, the Spurs and Timberwolves continue to throw punches in that series. Game 4 with the Spurs winning 2-1. Connor, I'll start with you on this one. What has surprised you maybe about this series, about San Antonio's youth coming to the forefront, or somehow the Wolves win games with half their team being stuck in the ER right now with injury?
Well, you know, I have a few opinions on this, and I mentioned it briefly before. The NBA is going to want to extend the series as much as possible, and so I have seen some calls that in a vacuum, in a void, in any other game, would I see that same call? I don't think so, but that's not to undercut just the sheer dog mentality that you see the Wolves exercise on the court. You know, they're really vying for themselves. They're really trying to keep themselves competitive. And when they are losing, they're really great at managing how poorly the game is going versus just, say, a total team collapse, at least in my eyes, so far in this series. They've been able to preserve some momentum even after some setbacks. I do also think that, and I've mentioned this before on a few other shows, I really feel like Victor's presence, Victor's role on that team is such a linchpin that if he were to go even on one game with a strained hammy, or God forbid he gets overworked throughout this period and then goes down for longer, the Spurs are dead. They're dead in the water. Without Victor, they cannot win. And we could go back and forth and say, hey, they still have a lot of good other players. Sure. But if, as you said, a half-injured Wolves are still able to take away wins from a team that does have Victor on the court, the moment that guy goes, everything's off.
DiMartino, your thoughts on this series? I think it's been very interesting about how the Wolves have been able to somehow keep this, ship afloat somehow, despite the injuries that they have gone through with DiVincenzo and the ripped Achilles back in round one. Anthony Edwards has been kind of, spotty hit or miss playing here and there. They steal game one in San Antonio. They obviously lose the next two, though, but now they've got, at least at last check, though, a 4-point lead at the time of the program here. But I guess, though, DiMart, your thoughts, though, about how maybe the Wolves have kept this together, but also what the Spurs, though, are bringing to the table, though, as well, too.
Well, I think them winning game one against the Spurs was a little bit of a fluke. Wemby just had to shoot a little bit better, and they would have been able to win that. The way I see it is I don't think Minnesota has much of a chance. The only thing I would say is that they have a lot less pressure on them because they weren't supposed to be here. I think they have a lot less pressure on them than San Antonio does, but San Antonio is way more talented. Even if the Timberwolves are able to pull this game off. Now, if Minnesota can't win this game, the series is I really think it's going to be way too daunting of a task for Minnesota. Just in their current condition, they're not going to be able to come back against a team like the Spurs team. But even if they win this game, it's at least still a series. I would still take San Antonio to win in 6. I think that the Spurs team that beat Minnesota on Wednesday night by 38 points, I think that's closer to the talent gap between this team currently under Minnesota's current circumstances. I think that's a little closer than the Timberwolves team that beat them. I think that that's more likely to happen. So I think that as long as San Antonio, if they can shoot a little better, unlike Wemby did in game one, I really don't think Minnesota has much of a chance. It's only early in the second quarter. The Spurs will have a chance to come back, but I don't see it. Minnesota, they're just too injured, and San Antonio was too talented. And even if they somehow did get past San Antonio, do they even have a chance to win a game against Oklahoma City?
No, and we even said that on MTGP on Thursday about, what do the Lakers, who now are 3-0 behind the 8 ball, would they have a chance? And obviously we both said no.
Yeah, I don't see it right now. I mean, Wemby right now has 4 points off of 4 shots. So, I mean, he's not doing much so far, but I guess we'll find out later in the game. But no, I just don't see it right now with this Timberwolves team.
Yeah, Nick Morgeson writes in, the Wolves have no business right now winning the series due to the fact of the injuries to both Ant-Man and DiVincenzo. Seth writes in, the Knicks put up 144. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like I was watching an all-star game. And the funny thing about, which I didn't bring this up about the Sixers-Knicks game, is that Embiid actually played really well. But he's the only guy on the Sixers that was really doing anything.
Yes.
He couldn't do it all by himself. He was shooting really well, especially early in that game.
Well, that's the danger we see with these teams where most of their momentum, most of their offensive potential rides on just one player being there. That's part of why I think the Knicks have such a better composed team because, if they lose one, they still have 4 other players that can ball really well. There are a lot of teams right now in this series that if they lose a particular player, there goes 60% of their strategies.
Well, I don't agree with that completely. If Towns gets into early foul trouble, which we've seen happen, I mean, that's true. That can mean trouble for the Knicks if Robinson's picking up the minutes, because Robinson can't consistently give you more than 20 minutes in a game. I mean, he's a good player. I like Robinson, but he's not designed, for lack of a better term, to be playing really long minutes. So I think there are circumstances where the Knicks can be in a lot of trouble too. If Brunson is taking a lot of shots and he's not hitting them, the Knicks are in a lot of trouble. I think every team to some extent is like that. If SGA plays a bad game, Oklahoma City is in a lot of trouble. I mean, there are very few times when a lot of times during the Golden State dynasty, Steph was able to play not good games and able to win. People forget that, but Steph in 2015, he didn't win MVP because he was terrible in that series. People forget. It's very rare that you can have a star player or any team that can have a star player not be at their best and still win the series. I mean, it's just not always an easy. It's like that for everybody.
Fair point. Fair point.
David, your thoughts on this series, though? Obviously, Minnesota somehow winning games here against the Spurs, but again, two of their big guns right now not able to play with injury, but also the Spurs, though, again, winning the next 2 games after falling behind those. So, David, this has been a very interesting and intriguing matchup, though, despite the Wolves having all these injury problems piling up.
Well, first thing off the top is Minnesota's got 2 of the guys back, and I mean Edwards is playing tonight. I can't say his last name. Dosunmu, I believe that's a guy from Chicago. He's playing. I mean, the one game that led to Spurs loss was just that, like said earlier, was Wemby had a terrible game shooting the ball. But the thing is, I like San Antonio more in the series than Minnesota just because they're more athletic. They're running down up the court. DeAndre Fox is a great setup guy. So yeah, no, I mean, we'll see what goes. It might go 6. I like San Antonio in the series. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for is a Spurs Thunder Conference Finals. And also getting back to Nick, the thing though with the Thunder, and that's the one thing. This is for all the teams that are in it. Thunder got a great bench. I mean, you get your starting.
They are a deep team. Caruso,
Joe, McCain, who they got for the Sixers, by the way, for nothing. I mean, they're at least 9-10 deep in terms of a roster. I mean, that's the thing you need to win a championship, as far as I'm concerned. You need a good starting 5. But you also need a great bench.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Presti's got to be the smartest GM in the league. He's got to be. I mean, just the way this team is structured, it's like if you look at the structure of the Oklahoma City team, it's just like no other team compares to it. It's like they have, like you said about their bench, it's like their worst case scenario. Like every team's worst case scenario is their best player or their second best player plays a bad game, gets hurt, and their hopes are just done. But with Oklahoma City, it's like even in their worst case scenario, it's not even that bad because their roster's so deep.
Just checked it from last night's game. Right? They beat the Lakers by 23, 44 points from the bench. 44.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that's like I said. I'm just looking at the things. Wow was 16, Joe 12. As it Hardenstein was on the bench, they started him last night because of with Williams being hurt, but as I said, they don't skip a beat. And
now they're loaded.
I mean, like I said, they'll probably sweep the Lakers tomorrow night. I don't think it's going to be pretty at all.
I mean, they're 10.5 point favorites.
Holy cow!
They're double-digit favorites this whole series.
Yeah.
Now they've had their way all year, not just now, but I think the Lakers know 0-7 against Oklahoma City this year.
Yeah, and I think 3 of the games were like 20-point blowouts or more. One that was definitely like 38. That was like earlier in the year.
I think something just happened in the game.
Which one? I'm looking at the Spurs. Wemby just looked like it was like almost got strangled, and then somebody else. So they're just looking to see if it was foul.
My phone's blowing up. That's why people are like, "Can you see that?" And I'm like, "I can't. I'm doing a podcast."
Oh, exactly. Wemby elbowed Reed right in the chin.
Oh,
so that might be flagrant 1, flagrant 2, but it was definitely a connection, but. Yeah, that's a scary thing about Wemby, too. Like, he's only, 21, 22?
Yeah, I think he's 22.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this guy, you can say, shoots threes. He reminds me a lot of Kevin Durant. Can shoot a 3, can run the court, can, dunk. Like, I mean, I'm thinking, like, how does this guy even get scarier and better than what he is now? And I think he can.
One of the things that I really like about seeing Wemby play is a lot of tall dudes suffer from joint weakness, from lack of mobility, or you get the instance where they're paper thin just due to how tall they are. They'll still weigh a lot on a scale, but in terms of body proportion sizes, they're very, very thin. So seeing Wemby put on muscle, looking sturdier, not having that same lumbering gait that a lot of big men do or like tall men do that shows that they're in pain when they're running. I feel like Wemby, as far as most tall guys in the league, he's got a lot more mileage, and I would also say a lot more durability. Like I look at Oliver, I'm going to butcher his last name,
Oliver Ryu, who just went to UC Irvine.
Yep. When I watch him play, I look at him like, dude, this guy's one bad step, like one rolled ankle away from just going down like a pile of bricks.
Well, I was going to say the one that I always remember, like during my era, was Sean Bradley.
Yes.
He was second overall pick, 7'5", 7'6", and never really panned out. He had some okay years, but nothing like what they were hoping for. So. Mm-hmm.
Nick Morganson further says, I put the jinx on Philadelphia. Lol. I picked them to win in 7 games. Ouch.
Okay, that's crazy. That's
Wemby
crazy.
Just got tossed. He's out of the game. Got ejected.
Wemby?
Wemby just got tossed out of the game? That's crazy.
I'm going to pull this game up. These goddamn streaming services make it such a pain in the ass. I cannot.
Everyone
he just fired up his little
line.
bench. He said he got ejected for that elbow. That's automatic, I think, in the NBA. If you do the elbow thing like this, they will toss you, especially if it's to the chin. See, he's done.
Wow.
This game got interesting all of a sudden.
What a turn of events.
Yeah.
If you have any bets active, I would immediately turn them and switch them to the Wolves to win.
Yeah, there's the replay. Yeah, they're showing it again. Yeah, it was a shot. I mean, you can say it's dirty and flagrant. So, yeah, the league doesn't fool around with the NBA with full of that stuff anymore. Any shots to the chin or anything like that, yeah.
Yeah, they have, per the box score, Victor Wembanyama ejected in this ball game for the elbow to the face.
Yeah.
That right there changes the complexion of the series. And yes, Nick, the NBA wants the series extended.
Now you have to worry about this to get suspended.
Yeah, I mean, what
that goes to the league
for the next game, David? At this rate,
I mean, he's going to have a hearing, so I guess they got to figure all that stuff out. I don't know he probably will just get fined. I mean, I doubt they would suspend him, but you never know. I don't know how the league handles that. Maybe they look at this and go, we tossed them.
I'm looking for it. I got to see it. This is driving me crazy. I'm imagining it. I didn't see it.
Not that I'm jumping the shark here and immediately saying, oh, the Wolves are going to win this series. But should they do, I guarantee you, Wembanyama is going to look back on this one game and be like, was that elbow worth it? 100% not.
Well, I mean, when you look at the replay, they were fighting for the ball, and then I guess it wasn't like he said, "Oh, here's Naz Reid, let me just clock him in the chin." I mean, it's just he was fighting for a ball. I guess it was just the actions towards it. So now, but yeah, I mean, I doubt he'll get suspended for Game 5. There'll probably be this, and he'll get a fine of X amount of dollars, and they'll just move along.
Yeah, this is driving me crazy. I'm just trying to see it. I'm on my phone on the NBC app right now. I'm trying to rewind and see it. Because I can't react to it if I haven't seen it. So I don't know what it looked like.
Okay.
But yeah, that's completely. Yeah, this is driving me nuts. That's the problem with streaming services.
Peacock.
Exactly.
Wow, they immediately just.
It's all right. I'll probably find it. I'm sure somebody will post. I'm sure somebody probably posted it on Twitter.
I was going to say, look on Twitter/X. It's probably on every angle. There's probably every comment from. He deserved to get tossed to this is, the NBA ruining the game or something like that. Yeah.
All right, here, I have it. Let me see it. Oh, that was a dirty play. That was not that was not okay. That was not a basketball move.
That's the question.
That was clearly an elbow that was completely unnecessary.
Okay.
I don't think I don't know. That's clearly I don't know if it's ejection worthy, but I mean, yeah, that's not a clean hit.
Right.
That wasn't it wasn't incidental contact, in other words.
Right.
It was gratuitous.
Yeah. So again, folks, the big storyline though, just breaking here in the NBA, Victor Wembanyama ejected from Game 4 between the Spurs and the Wolves. With that, guys, we'll stay in the NBA for a bit longer here, and really, as Nick and I said on Thursday, on moving the goalpost. We'll talk a bit though about tomorrow's games. We'll start though, guys, out west though with the Thunder on the cusp of another sweep of another sweep as they look to knock out the Lakers tomorrow night. Obviously, DiMart, we long had said though, do the Lakers really have a shot though? But with how great though that the Thunder have played the entire postseason, I mean, this feels like a massive uphill battle.
An uphill. Oh, you mean for the Lakers?
Yeah, for the Lakers.
Well, yeah, it's been an uphill battle the entire series. I mean, they've been double-digit underdogs in every game. Yeah, it's an uphill battle. I mean, the Lakers. I mean, look, LeBron has Austin Reeves and nobody else. They don't have their best player. It's not the same team that they've been throughout the whole season. So yeah, clearly it's an uphill battle. And Oklahoma City's like a super team. I think they get swept. And I mean, I've never seen it. I haven't seen a series in the playoffs this lopsided that wasn't a 1 seed against an 8 seed. This is a really lopsided series. The Lakers don't have much of a chance, but they also are playing with house money. It doesn't really matter. All right, you lose to the best team in the world. All right, it's not without your best player. It's not. Nobody can really call it a disappointment. Like they lose to a better team when the Lakers aren't even at full strength. So I figured that would happen. They probably wouldn't beat Oklahoma City with Luka either. So it's not, none of this is surprising. I'm rooting for the Lakers to make it a series, but I think that's unlikely when you're a double-digit underdog. Even
Connor,
in New York Stadium.
Yeah, Connor, I agree about, that the Lakers have been, much like Minnesota, they've been playing with basically with house money. But again, they got their best player out with that hamstring problem in Luka Doncic. And then you've got LeBron, Austin Reeves, and 3 other guys out there trying to, basically take down the best team in the world, as Nick was saying, though. Again, the reigning NBA champs, though. But Connor, what do you think here, man? You see a sweep in the foreseeable future for OKC over the Lakers?
I would bet for it. There's just, even if the wheels fall off this bus on OKC, their worst case scenario, as Nick said, is still, at this point, an ideal case scenario for the Lakers. I would say the bench for OKC could probably beat the Lakers as they are right now. And that's disappointing to say, especially when you consider, LeBron doesn't have much left in the tank. This is definitely going to be like one of his last season, maybe last few seasons. We don't I'm sure he's in contract discussions, but just the role that he'll play further reduced. So the Lakers right now have got to make it happen, but there's just no way that they can. I don't see them being able to field a credible response. And even if they do get one win, it's not going to feel good. It'll be more of a conversation of how OKC screwed the pooch on that game than it is going to be a conversation on how well the Lakers played that game.
DiMartino, you're muted, buddy.
You're mic'd.
Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose because we have the same illness.
Yes.
You gave it to me on MTGP on Thursday. That's probably
I got it yesterday, so I don't know what the hell happened.
Then I gave it to you. No, I think the interesting conversation with the Lakers is that the time is really ticking because LeBron is 41 years old. We don't know how long he's going to last. So that's why it's in some ways the circumstances for the Lakers are totally dire because the construction, the way the team is currently constructed, is not going to last much longer. So that is really what the question for the Lakers is going to be just in the offseason. What are they going to do?
Yeah, they're in a win now sort of mentality, and it didn't happen that way. And not to translate it to other sports, but so often I see in the NFL teams take on this win now mentality, get the guys that we need to win now, and it never happens, and it ends up screwing them over, a couple years down the line, because now they're stuck with some guys that they really pushed for that are ultimately not going to produce in the way that they needed to, because they were meant to produce in a particular moment as opposed to a potential future at hand. I'm at right now asking myself, and I hate saying this, but time comes for everybody. Are the Lakers damaging future options or future potentials by continuing to pay LeBron? Is he at a point now with his age that you could spend an equivalent amount of money and get someone that could have a better impact?
The short answer is not in the short term, because in the long term, yeah, you probably can, but teams don't really. I don't think GMs trust themselves. I think they care more about what he can do right now.
Or you're Nico Harrison and you think way too much of yourself.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's just that's Nico Harrison. Of all the GMs in NBA history, how many of them are like Nico Harrison? So the question is, it's all right, what is your alternative to LeBron? Because, yeah, LeBron's 41 years old. His skill set is obviously limited, but he's still one of the 20 best players in the NBA. And that's a pretty good number 2 option. He would be the best player on a lot of NBA teams. So he's limited in his skill set, but he can make so much happen in the short term. And without LeBron, the Lakers, if you just take the Lakers roster without LeBron and replace him with some average player, are they a playoff team? Maybe, but look, they're behind the 8 ball. They're in a competitive conference, and they really need LeBron a lot right now. He's not a long-term solution, but that doesn't mean he doesn't help them a lot right now. The biggest issue with LeBron right now is that he's playing as second fiddle to Luka.
Right.
And Luka's not a good defensive player, and LeBron can't really play defense like he used to.
Well,
it's a problem when your two best players are not good on defense. It's the same issue with the Knicks. The other issue is that Luka is not consistently healthy. So you have a 41-year-old LeBron who's the second best player on the team, just playing that role with a guy who is a great player but is not consistently healthy. That's a problem.
Yeah, and I feel like that's an inherited problem, though. You know, like Luka showed up not in the greatest of shape and not at
1,000%. Cannot agree more.
And like I feel like, as you said, short term versus long term. I do think after this season, Luka's health will get together. But in a win now mentality, in a win now moment, does the assurance that next season's gonna be good for him help you with the plan that you cocked up for this season? And as a defensive point, and me and Nick Morganson were going back and forth on this a while about this. Yes, he doesn't perform well defensively, but I'd also like to make the point that due to the current foul system, the foul culture, fishing for the foul that exists in the NBA, there's not a lot of guys that can play defense effectively without risking the penalty. You know, we're seeing defense across the board just wither. So, you know, yeah, they're not great at playing defense, but even on a team that is, they're very, very cautious on how they go about it. I wouldn't call it defense at this point anymore. I'd call it game management or trying to create obstacles.
I would compare it to, not to cross sports, I would almost compare it to offensive lines in the NFL. You ever notice every team has a weak offensive line? Like you hear that about every team's weakness. Oh, their offensive line isn't good. You hear that about like half the teams, and it's like it's a similar thing.
The Bengals,
right? You hear about that about like half the teams in the league. It's like, well, it sounds like everybody has an issue with their offensive line. It's a similar type of thing in the NBA with defense. Like just the way the game is officiated, it's very hard to play good defense. And the best players, a whole lot of them are not good on defense.
And it's funny you bring that up because, again, not to spend too much time on another sport, but I think about the Seahawks, for example, obviously Super Bowl champions. So like hindsight's 2020, everyone can be like, oh, the Seahawks, obviously. But the Seahawks and the Rams had a really good O-line. Like they barely let anything by, but going beyond just that, they were also some of the least penalized teams out there. So I personally believe, not to throw the word around loosely, but poverty franchises look at defense the least. They're looking for a superstar. They're looking for someone that's going to drum up jersey sales. They're looking for someone that people can get energized about. They're not looking for a guy that's going to fucking stuff your shot halfway across the court if you can't shoot a three.
Well, a poverty franchise can't really be choosers. They're in desperate situations. They can't be like, I don't like this guy. He's not good on defense.
When they do have the opportunity to pick, they don't pick defense. They don't go for an O-line. They don't go for a guy who can really block the stop the layups and interfere the passes inside the court. You know, it's more so that they go for a superstar. A team will go for a wide receiver. A team will go for a guy that can shoot 10, 13 threes in 2 quarters. You know, I understand the appeal, but it's not really what is going to help you right now.
David, how about some thoughts on where, in fact, your thoughts are with Oklahoma City looking like an absolute juggernaut right now out west?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably going to be the team to beat, I think, to win the whole thing. Again, they'll go back to back. I mean, unless San Antonio will give them a push. I don't think Minnesota has a chance against them. I mean, whatever you want to call it. Getting back with that Lakers thing, I know it won't happen, but if I'm the Lakers, I move on from LeBron James. And I just go, all right, we're building on Luka and Austin Reeves and some others. I mean, you look at their roster, it's not like, wow, man, they got a lot of good players here. I mean, you got Luke Kennard. They've also drafted that Dalton Connect was a first-round pick. Hasn't panned out, was traded, brought back because of a medical issue by Charlotte. I think it's like Lakers just like, and that's, I know it's tough for Laker fans when you hear that because it's like, well, every year they're expecting to win. Well, it's like you tell them like, hey, we're going to retool, and like Lakers fans just lose their minds over it. So,
oh yeah,
Yeah, I just think they got to move on from it. And some LeBron probably wants to, if he's playing for one more year next year, where it's in Cleveland, he probably wants number 5. And if he's honest with himself, he's got to look at LA and go, or do we have a chance here? And go, no, we don't. So I can go maybe help out a team like, I'm throwing an example here, a team like Detroit, who's there but can also use another piece, or does he, whatever it is, somebody will take and go, hey, this guy's our final piece to get us over the top. So. Yeah, but no, Oklahoma City, I mean, we were talking before, with their roster and how deep they are and the way they're playing and haven't skipped a beat, I honestly think they're going to win the whole thing again this year. Barring injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue with, like I said before, is just the way the team is structured with LeBron.
Yes.
Having an aging player with the best player on the team that is not good on defense, I think that's going to be an issue for them. I think LeBron can still play another year in all likelihood, and I think he probably will. I know LeBron. First of all, there is zero chance LeBron would retire at the end of a season without giving himself a retirement tour. There is zero chance LeBron wouldn't do that.
Right.
And also, he's good enough to keep playing. He's not like Kobe was his last season when he was just like limping through the whole season.
Yeah.
He's good enough. And if he looks like this next year, he can play another year after that. So, like, there's no reason. Like, I think LeBron still wants to play. And his contract is up at the end of this season.
Right.
I think it would likely be wise for the Lakers to move on from him, but they also need something, they're going to need some sort of alternative, because it's also possible that the Lakers get worse if they move on from him. That also can happen.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that LA definitely needs, and I saw from last night's game, they need a real rebounder. That DeAndre Ayton twice missed the thing, and somebody must have caught J.J. Redick ear. They read his lips, whatever else, and he just says, I can't with this guy. Like, more or less, have him on my team or roster. And he had the same issues in Phoenix. He had the same issues, I think he was in Portland. Like, he has issues with rebounding and whatever else. I mean, he's a decent shooter, a rebounder. Ayton kills you. So they got to get bigger. They got to get more physical. I think they have guards there too, but the Lakers just have to move on from LeBron James. Will they? Probably not, because with that group of the general manager and Jeannie Buss who's still there, and then their new ownership, they're going to probably say, we want one more year, and that's when they'll probably announce this summer, I'm going to do a retirement tour, and then that'll be it.
Do you think that he'd want his last season to be in Cleveland?
I think it's an option. I think he wants to win, so it's like, okay, what are your options for next year? Cleveland, possibly. Although I think if Cleveland loses the series, they still could blow it up with Harden and Mitchell. Like I said, Harden is he's like a ghost sometimes in the playoffs. Played great yesterday, but the first 2 games he was not a factor at all. Detroit, young team, could use a veteran to push over the top. I don't know if he'd have to fit in, unless he would take a less role. You look at the Knicks, less salary.
Well, that's the thing that I always have to ask myself. What's the ego going to be like coming out of that situation? Because so many times do we see aging players who were once the belle of the ball still think themselves the world, rather than having a realistic athletic and business proposal for themselves. Like, I'm going to stick with the sport that I'm familiar with, even though they do have a tendency to have prima donnas. I think about Tyreek Hill right now, or Aaron Rodgers, where they're older, they're less important, they're less available, and yet they're still like, sign me to a supermax. I know what I'm worth. Dude, there's a guy coming out of college right now that's 19, 20 that can do exactly what you did 20 years ago, and he has none of the problems right now. Why? And we can get him on a rookie contract. So for my question is will he have this sort of mercantile aspect where he's able to negotiate himself to a team that could use him, want him, and in that sweet middle ground of afford him?
Well, I think there's a lot of teams that could certainly use him.
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of teams that LeBron would make better. He wouldn't be the best player on those teams, but there's a lot of teams he would make better. He would make the Knicks better. He'd make the Pistons better, the Cavs. He'd make a lot of teams better. I mean, the cap situation is also another question.
But he has been quoted as saying money is not a factor.
Oh, if money's not a factor, I mean,
San Antonio. I look there. Oof, that'd be a nice fit there too.
Yeah, I mean, do you?
Oh, that'd be something.
He froze.
He had too great of an idea to say, and they shut him down.
Yeah. But then the other person you got to deal with too is his agent, Rich Paul. I mean, for an agent, he really speaks his mind. He speaks a lot. And like, is he going to say, "Well, we want 10 million here or 15 here," and then you got to deal with him? You know, you got LeBron's team. So
I would love to see LeBron on the Knicks. I would love to see that. I don't think it's going to happen. I can keep dreaming. Let's put it this way: if LeBron goes to the Knicks, my whole worldview would change just in life. I would have so much hope for everything else to go for me. Like I'll be so much more optimistic if that can happen. It's like, well, if this can happen, like I can, like the sky's the limit. Like I can do anything.
Knicks heading to Philadelphia to get tickets for the Knicks and Sixers. Yeah, you wouldn't get a ticket to Guard, but you get a ticket to easily in Philly and some other places.
You know what I would do? And I said this last week. If you want to save money going to the Knicks Sixers game in Philly, go to Atlantic City.
Right.
Watch the game at the Borgata. Actually, don't do the Borgata. Their sports book is horrible. But go to Ocean or one of the good sports books and do that because it's basically going to be the same thing, but you're going to be spending a lot less money. It's mostly going to be Philly fans, although it looks like it wasn't mostly Philly fans today, but it's the equivalent. It's mostly Philly fans in Atlantic City with a minority of New York fans. And you could watch the game on this big screen in a crazy environment. And you don't have to spend the exorbitant prices or spend, an arm and a leg for parking. Like it's a pretty, I think it's a pretty good deal.
Any way you can find a good deal nowadays in the current economy, sign us up and twice on Sunday. David, real quick,
it's a lot more. There's a lot more to do in Atlantic City than after the game than there is in Philly. So, I mean,
I don't know, man. I feel like both are like equal prime den of iniquities in terms of like for me personally, I'll never forget one time I went to a bar at 2 a.m. in Philly, and I'll make the story short.
Tell the tale.
I'll make it super short. I went to a bar in Philly at 2 a.m, nothing going on. I just wanted to get a plate of chicken tenders because I was obviously already hammered. And when I got there, I saw a woman tatted up all the way to her scalp, coked up to the nines, doing arm wrestling at a bench. She already beat 4 guys, and there was like a $250 on the table. And that was an average day for that bar. Me personally, I think there's equal opportunity in both cities.
No, I'm saying if you're in an Atlantic City casino, you're right there in an Atlantic City casino. There's so much to do in Atlantic City casinos, as opposed to if you're in a stadium, you have to leave, figure out what to do. It takes forever to leave the stadium and get your car or whatever. It's just more convenient of a location if you're in an Atlantic City sportsbook. Is all I'm saying.
Definitely. David, real quick, how about some thoughts from you on the Stanley Cup playoffs so far? Obviously, the Flyers got knocked out yesterday in overtime against a very good Carolina team, and a couple of Game 4s going on tonight.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go first. Go around the thing. The Flyers thing. They're super young. I didn't think I thought they would lose in 5 to Carolina. Carolina is just absolutely loaded from top to bottom. I mean, 4 lines who could score. I mean, Stan Coven is, I think, 23 years old. That kid's going to be an unbelievable player in the future. They got 3 really good defensive, pairings. They're always their issue, and they always had in the playoffs before was goaltending. Frederick Anderson, and it was somebody else. They've had some others. Now they got him and Brandon Busey. And my God, that's like I said. It's because I'm looking at it right now because right now it's Game 3 of Montreal is now smoking Buffalo. I was trying to figure out. The question is, which one of these teams have a better chance against Carolina? And I would probably say Montreal, but I really don't know. I just think Carolina is going to mow through whoever they play in the next round in 5 or 6, just because. I mean, they're going to have 7 to maybe 10 days of rest here.
Yeah.
Before they play this next one, and then so you got that going on, and then the West. Vegas plays Anaheim tonight. They just announced Stone is out.
Yes.
With the undisclosed injury. That's a must win. And Anaheim's sort of like the Flyers, younger team, building for the future. You can see that they're starting to put pieces together. So you got that one. And then Minnesota got back in last night. So that one, I thought it would be Carolina-Colorado final. I mean, I still think it's going to be that way.
I still think it will be too.
Yeah. Minnesota's just, they're hanging, like you said, Quinn Hughes looked really good. And the only issue with Minnesota is going to be that goaltending. And they got to pick one and roll with it, whether it's Jesper or whether it's it looks like it's going to be Jesper, but they just got to stick with one going and ride with it. But we'll see what happens in terms of the whole hockey thing with the rest of the playoffs. But yeah, right now Montreal is just absolutely killing Buffalo in this period right now. It's 4-1. Looks like they're going to win Game 3. No.
All right, so some thoughts on the Cup playoffs as we get closer to the conference final. Again, a couple of pivotal Game 4s tonight involving the Habs and Sabres, and again, the Knights and Ducks. Again, as David said, though, Mark Stone is out for Game 4 for Vegas. Radko Gudas for Anaheim, still a game-time decision with that bad foot he's been trying to get back from since the end of the regular season. Guys, sad news in Major League Baseball that broke yesterday on Saturday. That was, of course, the passing of legendary Braves manager Bobby Cox at the age of 87 years old. Over the course of Saturday, again, guys, Bobby Cox, we know him for the ejections, but again, 14 division titles, 5 NL pennants, and of course, the 95 World Series. David, I'll start with you on this one, though, about Bobby Cox. Obviously, very rough week for baseball, rough week for the Braves organization with Ted Turner's passing, Bobby Cox passing, obviously losing John Sterling last Monday as well. But David, obviously, been around the game for a long time. How do you remember Bobby Cox's career in his life?
Like you said, he also won in Toronto too. I think they won in '85. That was the one they played Kansas City in the playoffs. So he just seems like a guy. I mean, was a manager, won wherever he did. I mean, at times you never thought he would ever win a title because it was always like they win the division, get to the playoffs, and then they would lose to whoever they faced. I mean, one year was the Phillies. Another year was well, they actually won some. Like I said, they did win the one against Pittsburgh. I remember that was like 91-92 range, and then they lost in the World Series. But I mean, he's winning, like one of the winningest managers ever. Also one of the most tossed managers ever. I think it was 150, 160 ejections. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he'll be remembered for for his time in terms of how good he was as a manager. I think that was it last year. He finally retired his number in Atlanta.
Yes,
I think they did that. So yeah, no, he'll be remembered for his career. I mean, in terms of he'll go down as the best Braves manager ever, of course. And yeah, so.
Yeah, DiMart, tough day, though, again, whenever we talk about deaths in the sports community. Again, it was a really rough week, as I said, though. John Sterling, Ted Turner, and of course, Bobby Cox on Saturday. Obviously, DiMart, I think almost all of us, in a way, grew up when the Braves were at their apex, in the late, across the 90s, early 90s, early 2000s.
I wasn't alive.
While Bobby Cox was managing, though. And, of course, those teams were just loaded with Galarraga, Chipper Jones, all those guys. And obviously them and the Mets
my favorite player, Chipper Jones.
Yeah. And I was going to say, though, but again, the Mets and Braves, I mean, one of the best rivalries, though, of the early 2000s back in the day. So, Nick, from a Mets perspective, though, how do you remember Bobby Cox and his time down in Atlanta?
Well, I remember Bobby Cox almost in a similar way to the way I remember Bill Belichick. He was like a nemesis. He was a Mets nemesis. So that's kind of just how I remember Bobby Cox as the Braves manager. He was a Braves manager for he had 2 stints managing the Braves. Back like in the early 2000s, that was when the Mets Braves rivalry was at its peak. I mean, it was most of his career was before I was born. So I only really remember the very tail end of it, which was I don't remember his World Series. I wasn't even alive for his World Series runs in 77 and 95. But I just remember, kind of in a similar type of way to the way I remember Bill Belichick. Like that would be the best comparison I can think of, because in the early 2000s and like 2005, the team I hated the most was the Braves. So that's kind of how I remember him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to put it, though. Connor, any thoughts you'd like to pass along again about the death of Bobby Cox?
I just, it's always a tragedy when you see such legendary presences in a sport leave. I think the same sort of loss happened with John Madden with his passing. But it also shows how deeply entrenched American sports is to the collective culture that is, the United States. We have all these people mourning the accomplished legacy of a baseball player, in the same breath using his legacy to show how excited and how energized we are for what legends we have coming up. Will I miss him? Absolutely. But do I feel as if, with his loss, there's this, hole that's never going to be filled? No. the sports agencies, the sports community, they will preserve the legacy and they will preserve the traditions and cultures. So I mourn him. I give best wishes to the family, and I thank them for all the memories that they've given.
David?
I was just going to say the one thing that, I mean, when you talk to a lot of the players and coaches, they all were like, we love playing for him. That's what I said. It's nice when you're in your back pocket, you've had, let's see, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Steve Avery. I mean, there's 4 right there, and the other ones, and they all, like you said, I mean, there's other ones. I'm thinking Mark Wohlwar's a closer, and like I said, that whole team, Marquise Grissom, and that's what I said. It wasn't like, oh, I had bad players in terms of like, it was just like everywhere he went, he had them, and they just. That's what I was. One thing I'm surprised is they didn't win more world titles. They only won 1, but all of them, like Leo Mazzoni said, he was like basically he said it was his best friend. It was like a brother dying.
Yeah, sometimes when you see these legends die, you hope people talk about you when you die the same way.
Yes.
Sometimes you see that. I mean, it doesn't happen for everybody, but like you just see that and think. I mean, look, even if you're not like like somebody at that level, it's just like, oh, I hope people who knew me talk about me the same way. I felt that way about when Tony Gwynn died. Yeah. This was about 12 years ago now. But nobody ever, it seems like nobody who knew Tony Gwynn had anything bad to say about him.
No.
Yeah, I mean, that loss really hit very hard here. And obviously that was 2 years after, that was 2 years after Gene Seau, of course, killed himself in May of 2012. And then Tony passed away in June of 2014 from the effects of the chewing tobacco and stuff. And I did a small market edition episode in audio form about Tony's career and obviously his passing and how he became the poster child for baseball, beginning to try to get players away from chewing tobacco and that sort of thing because of Tony's passing. And yeah, I mean, you could talk to any, baseball fan, Dodger fan, Giant fan. I highly doubt you'll hear anyone ever speak ill will of Tony Gwynn as much as the way as, whenever anyone, like this passes. You may have hated them because of who they played for as a rival team, for example. But I think, when you meet the guy, you meet the people, you meet the person. I think that's what we obviously, remember more about than anything else. With that, guys, there is the one pressing Braves question, actually, at this rate, with them having a very dominant weekend against the Dodgers in L.A. David, your thoughts on this, though, but is Atlanta's early season dominance right now sustainable, or is it right now a spring mirage as you await right now for the West Coast powers like L.A. to finally find their rhythm? But I mean, the Braves cannot get off to a better start right now, and Walt Weiss is looking pretty good as their manager right now at this rate. Your thoughts?
The key with Atlanta is Sim. Like, I mean, going into the season, you knew their lineup was great. Their issues always been injury, especially with pitching. And right now they have all they're healthy. Although, I mean, I know Strider, I think, is the only one who's still out. He's coming, or they have a couple. Is right. Strider's coming back. I think he's in rehab, but he's close to it there. Schwellenbach, I think, was the one who had the arm injury, but the other thing too is they're hitting the ball. I mean, everybody in that line, if you look at it, they're all hitting well. I think Baldwin, their catcher, his 10th home run, I think was yesterday or so. They're just a really good team. Like you said, if they just stay healthy, I don't think it's a mirage. I think it's more just to see. Hopefully, their health is together in terms of end of May, June, July, and whatever else. I mean, you're gonna get banged up a player here or there, but I think Atlanta's the real deal. The only issue they ever had was just concerned about was their injuries to their pitching, and they had a lot last couple of years.
Nick, what do you think about the NL East right now as a whole? With where Atlanta is right now, the Mets are still treading water. Philly's trying to get a lot of their pitchers back healthy. Maybe a nice little run for Washington and Miami right now, but I think it's going to be either Atlanta, New York, Philly's the top three, though. But, maybe, Nick, first weekend or second full week of May now in the books, though. Your thoughts on where you see the NL East right now playing out?
I mean, I see the NL East as the Braves and everybody else. I mean, they're the only team this year with a winning record. They're the only team this year that's not a dumpster fire. I mean, look, even in this rather weak division, I mean, they're not the weakest division in baseball, but even in this division, saying the Mets are treading water is very generous. They're more like waving their arms for the lifeguard because they can't swim. That's probably closer to what's actually happening with the Mets. No, I think the Braves have the best record in baseball. and they're in one of the weaker divisions, in a division where no other team has a winning record. I mean, the second place team, the Phillies, have a losing record, and they fired their manager in the middle of the season.
Right.
I mean, like, there would have to be a pretty epic collapse for the Braves to not take this division. I mean, I think they're just cruising. I mean, and I'm not saying it'll be this trajectory the whole season, but like, I don't see the Braves dropping out of first place. I don't see that happening.
I would like to point out, that there are a lot of really good sleeper teams right now that are starting to hit their stride. Do I think any of them will be able to take over the Braves? No. But what I was really surprised by, even though I bet on them a lot and I love to watch them play, I was surprised to see the Brewers kick the crap out of the Yankees in that series. There was such an expectation for the Yankees to stomp the Brewers, and the first game was a shutout. The second game, they managed to steal victory back from the jaws of defeat. So and it's not just to say the Brewers are the only one doing this. There's a lot of teams out there that are starting to find their pace. They're starting to find their form, and they're looking a lot more dominant than anyone expected them to be.
Can we also talk about
the Padres? But the Padres can't either they pitch and can't hit, or they can't hit and they pitch.
Can we also talk about dumpster fires? How bad the American League is this year. There's only 2 teams above 500. 2 out of 15. I mean, that's amazing. Or actually 3. 17 by 3. That's amazing to me.
And I still would say the AL Central is still the worst division in all of Major League Baseball.
Yes.
I mean, you want to talk dumpster fires? AL Central.
1st to 5th is 2.5 games.
I'm glad to see that the Cardinals. I was surprised that the Athletics of all teams are going to be above 500, but I was happy to see the Guardians there as well. They've just barely made the cut, but they're a very, I would say, interesting team to watch. You never know what version of the Guardians you're going to get.
Yeah, most of the teams in the AL are pretty mediocre. I mean, the only teams, the 2 best teams in the AL this year are the Rays and the Yankees, and they both happen to be in the same division.
Exactly.
Yeah. I saw the A's on Wednesday night when they were playing in Philly. Their lineup's really good, but man, they're pitching, especially their bullpen. God. You get to their bullpen, the A's, you have a chance to beat them. I mean, Mark Leiter Jr., who was next Philly from how many years ago, and they don't have anybody. That's why I guess their next investment before they move to Vegas is go get a pitching staff. They got the hitters.
That's how I feel. That's why I kind of feel bad. And shout out to Nate Miller over at Unnecessary Wagers. We have this conversation often, but that's kind of how I feel bad for the Pirates, because the Pirates pitching core with Paul Skeens is pretty damn good, but their batting is just so atrocious that it's either you hold them down there at the mound or you just watch the runs slowly go up.
Well, my question is are bullpens in baseball going in the same direction as offensive lines in football, where it just seems like everybody has a bad bullpen? I mean, we've been hearing about this like for at least the past 10 years. I've heard about the Mets bullpen being bad.
Right. Well, I do think the difference between, and maybe it's not a difference, but I have noticed that good bullpen teams, they hoard talent like you wouldn't believe. Like, you could grab any pitcher in the bullpen for the Dodgers right now, and they would be welcomed on any of those other teams we were just talking about. You grab any pitcher that at this point, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Brewers have a pretty decent pitching core. They have a pretty low ERA. They strike out well. Most of them have over 5 strikeouts, averages across like each of their games. So I feel like the teams that do have this really good talent, they're just hoarding them and keeping them in contracts. And there's not much else for other teams.
And by the way, the 2 of them right now, we were about pitching. Where else? Atlanta is one of those teams. I mean, they also got 2 incredible stars around Sale and Elder, and another one who's got a great bullpen is Callan's Padres. Yeah. I mean, you got, we call him the Reaper closer.
Yeah, Mason Miller.
Yeah, and then they got our good setups. That's what you really need. You almost like in 1990 was the Nasty Boys. You had Dibble, you had Charlton, you had Myers, 7, 8, 9. And that's how the Reds won their title.
Yeah.
You got to the 7th inning and Reds were up, game over. They just dominated when they got those 3 in the bullpen.
Yeah, and that's kind of what San Diego's built, though, in a way, though, when they got Miller last year and Robert Suarez was their closer. But you win Morihone, Adam, Suarez, 7, 8, 9. Then eventually you win Morihone, Adam, Miller, Suarez, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, of course, Robert's in Atlanta, but still, you still have that sort of core, as David was saying, though, that they've already built around, though. And, Miller has been just absolutely crushing it so far, despite him losing that consecutive scoreless inning streak.
And that was the thing, too. He lost Suarez, but then the guy named, was it Estrada? And
Jeremiah Estrada.
And he hasn't skipped a beat. So, yeah, that's why San Diego now is in first place. I mean, part of the reason is a very solid bullpen. So.
And that's with their lineup not really producing in a lot of situations. I mean, I thought they were going to lose today until, of all people, Nick Castellanos hits a game-tying homer in the bottom half of the ninth and down to their final strike, and they win the game with a walk-off sac fly. But we're now going to get into hour 2, and we'll hand things off to Nick DiMartino. Go ahead, my friend.
All right, so I got something to read. So pull up a chair and grab a drink because we've got a massive week ahead at the Empty the Bench Network with 2 brand new shows joining the lineup that you need to have on your radar. First up, we're talking combat sports as Fight IQ with Tom Albano. Premieres tomorrow, May 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. They know how to do math, Pacific people.
Yes,
where Tom is going to be breaking down everything from the ring to the octagon with the sharpest analysis in the business. Then we are heading inside the mind of the one and only Callan McClurg for the debut of Callan's Cranium, starting this Tuesday, May 12th at midnight Eastern, which is 9 p.m. Pacific time for the West Coast crowd. So get ready for the deepest sports dives and unique takes you won't find anywhere else. Make sure to head over to youtube.com/ETB Network right now to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you're locked in for the new era of ETB. That's Fight IQ and Callan's Cranium, only on the Empty the Bench Network. Now let's get back to the action here in the lounge.
There we go. 2 new shows debut this week. We're looking forward to it. With that, though, Nick, back over to you to get us going for hour 2 here as we begin our the messy spill of the afternoon/weekend.
Yeah, so the Washington Wizards just secured the number 1 overall pick in the draft. This is the first time that they've been at the top of the draft since 2010, 16 years ago, when they drafted John Wall. So I think that if you look at the 2 worst teams, the 2 biggest laughingstocks in the NBA this year, even before the lottery, I would have said the Wizards had a much clearer future because they got a whole bunch of players during the season, which you don't normally see. Now that they have the number 1 pick, I mean, the way I see this draft is that after picks 1 through 4, there's a really big drop off. I mean, obviously you want the number 1 pick, but these top 4 picks all could have been number 1 picks in most other draft classes. They all would have been number 1 picks. I think the biggest losers in this lottery is the Brooklyn Nets. Now they are selected to pick number 6 overall in the draft. They've got to be the biggest losers. Like, the way I see it is that I don't see it so much as the Wizards winning. I see it more as the Nets losing. Like, if you talk to any Net fans, that's what they'll all tell you. I mean, they are just furious about this.
Yeah, I mean,
you also have to ask, like, are the Nets in a position where even if they did get a better lottery position, would things improve? Like, they're so many years deep into a rebuild, even if their dream scenario came about, would they be any closer to being a palatable team to watch? I don't think so. I think there's
if Kevin Durant's foot is not on the 3-point line, we're talking about a whole different time for net basketball right now.
In all likelihood, they end up winning the championship that year.
I think so.
Or a whole lot of things. There's so many what ifs from the 2021 Nets season.
I covered a few of the Nets games last year. Trust me, it's not fun to cover that team. Them in Sacramento are just a dumpster fires, and the Wizards are much better. That's why I said I'm looking at probably another loser. By the way, Nick, besides your Nets, is that first overall pick, AJ. How you say his last name? Yeah, they showed him up close when it was the number 1 pick. It looked like he's like, I'm going here. Like I'm going to DC. And I don't want to go here.
It looks like Aaron Peterson's going to be the number one pick, though.
Maybe they're everything. It's going to be AJ
Cam Boozer.
But he won't be number one, but he'll be like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. But I'm going to say, I'm looking at the Wizards' future or previous number one picks. I mean, it's like talking about bad management. Like Connor was saying, Trey Johnson, Walter Clayton Jr., Alex Sarr, Dylan Jones, Jarris Walker, Johnny Davis, Corey Kispert, Avagia, who they had, and he goes to Portland. He's a stud. They're just a history of just some bad picks. It's a bad franchise. And like you said, they go pick up Anthony Davis, who's basically brittle. Like Anthony Davis 5 years ago, not Anthony Davis now. You got Trey Young. What are you getting out of him? It's just a storied bad franchise. I don't know. Like we always see about people going to the Sixers. I don't know who goes to a Wizards game. You go, man, this is my team. I can't wait to go to see the Wizards.
Oh, man.
I went to a Wizards game one time, John Wall's rookie season. And the Wizards have a tradition where you stand until the Wizards score their first basket.
Yeah.
Oh, we were standing for a long time.
Yeah.
We were standing for like the first 5 minutes of the game. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think about it. I think about it all the time. And sometimes I wonder if these GMs, their whole business strategy is they watched the Producers movie and thought, oh, if we make a flop of a franchise, we don't have to pay anyone and we can save money. I feel like that has to be the ethos, because when you are so bad every single year, I would at least approach the topic of, okay, we're likely going to be high on the lottery, or or let's say like for the NFL, for example, we're going to suck for the next 3 years. So that means we're going to get a lot of first picks. Let's build around those first picks we get over the course of the next 3 years. And on that third year, that's the year where we break out and do something. But I don't see it. I see a lot of these poverty franchise teams, as I like to call them, make terrible decisions as soon as when it's their time to draw. And then nothing pans out. And they're like, well, I guess it's back to the drawing board again, boys.
But think about this, though. In basketball, one great draft pick can change the trajectory of your franchise forever.
That's true. Look at the Hornets.
It's not a guarantee to happen. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it always hits. But that is a really big deal in basketball. So, because one player makes such a big impact. I don't know if Darren Peterson's that guy or AJ DeMantis that guy, but that could be the case as long as they have the number one pick. They're in a much better position than the Nets are with the number 6 pick. What's the likelihood that they're going to get that with the number 6 pick? The Wizards at least have the number 1 pick. So, right. I mean, look, the Cavs were a poverty franchise until they drafted LeBron, and that changed their franchise. So at least, yes, the Wizards make a lot of bad decisions, but at least they have a good chance, a somewhat decent chance of turning the franchise around with this draft. That at least could happen. With the Nets, it's like, oh, we got to wait till next year. We got to tank again. Like, and tank again for a draft class that in all likelihood won't be as good as this year's.
Right.
So,
and also you have to keep in mind too the new anti-tanking measures that they're going to be adding with the 3-2-1 format starting, I believe, next year too.
Right.
Well, I'm curious to see how that pans out personally.
Same. I don't think it's going to work.
If the NBA couldn't definitively prove off of game footage people were fucking rigging the games, how are they going to prove a team is tanking? You know?
And I think it was uniquely an issue this year because this year's draft class is so strong. I don't think every draft class will be this strong. Look, some teams are so – the problem with the NBA, and I think the NFL is trending in this direction too, is that the bottom like 5 to 7 teams are just unwatchable.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's like just unwatchable. And it's not necessarily because they're tanking. They're just they've just been
notoriously cheap, or they've just been poorly run for franchise history.
I'm looking at the Trailblazers upcoming with the new owner and his mentality about what he wants to pay a coach. Like, you know, we'll see how that bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that works out for you. But you know,
and then you got a team like the Chicago Bulls who just traded everybody away, and then they were surprised Billy Donovan quit.
So, I mean, the whole anti-tanking measure, I think, like, look, I'm not mad about it. They can try what they want to. Tanking is something that, as a fan, is an issue that I'm relatively disinterested in. It doesn't mean the NBA shouldn't care. I think they should, but as a fan, I don't care because I know people who are fans of some of these teams. A lot of my friends are Brooklyn Net fans, and they were all in on the tanking. all year they were all in on the tanking. Yeah. You talk to Wizards fans, I'm sure they all would have told you the same thing. So it's just like the fan bases are for it. It's good for the teams. I mean, it's certainly not good if you want to spend money to go to those games, which is an issue. But if you spend money, literal U.S. currency to go to a Net game or a Wizards game, you're not financially responsible. So like, that's just kind of how I see it.
I do think that, and this is years away, like maybe even a decade away, and this will also depend heavily if the NFL actually ever really does pull the trigger on creating some abroad teams. Because if you introduce new teams, you can't afford for them to be dog shit, for the next 15 plus years. They'd be a flop. They'd fail, and they wouldn't make it.
Problem with having an expansion.
Well, here's the thing. There needs to be some sort of bailout or incentive, I feel like, eventually for these dog shit teams if we want to keep the markets interesting. I can think right now with the NBA, I'm not a basketball guy by all intents and purposes. I watch it because it's something to watch, but I also happen to make money on it, and that's my driving reason as to why I put it on. But there's so many teams that suck and they have to play each other so often. And it's like, where's my incentive to watch this nothing burger ass game? So if there's some sort of way to, incentivize or improve the chances of these garbage teams from ever getting off the ground, there needs to become a solution now, because 10 years from now, these bad teams are going to get even worse and they're not even going to be able to pay rent on their stadiums. That's
covering the NBA this year. I will say this for a fact: a third of them are garbage. I can name the teams in my head: Brooklyn, Sacramento, Utah, Washington, New Orleans, Chicago, the Clippers. It was like Memphis. Oh my God, Memphis is a dumpster fire. Dallas Mavericks, although they got a good GM now.
Miami.
But, I mean, like you said, the only way you're watching those games, Connor, you're betting, and you're betting heavy. I mean, that's it. Other than that,
it's gotten to the point where all you need to do, especially in the East, is just be an average team, and you make it to the play-in. You have a shot at the playoffs. That's all you need to be, is average.
Yeah,
that's why I think there needs to be some clause in there that has a more stringent diversification of talent than just the lottery system. Like, I don't know what the solution would be, but as you said, one player can change a franchise. Some way, somehow, these players need to go to the shittier teams.
But how would you do that?
I don't know. I have no clue. I know in the NFL, I could come up with a few solutions right now off the dome that, like, right off the bat. I think you could increase the salary cap for teams that have historically had losing seasons for the last 5 to 8 seasons. If you've had a losing season for over a decade, increase their salary cap. The
problem is that incentivizes teams to have losing seasons. You want to talk about tanking?
You can't. You have to keep in mind, these teams are businesses. Are you really going to tell a business, hey, we just have to suck and waste money for 10 years, and then after that we'll have a winning season?
The reason I don't like that idea is because it rewards losing and incompetence. That's the only issue that I would have with it. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about the way the draft is run, but
I look at it no different than a government bailout, right? A company shits the bed, the government's going to bail them out because they know 5 years down the line, once that company is profitable, it is more productive to have them operating than it is for them to just have them.
But do you want there to be a bailout for the Cleveland Browns or the Jets?
It would make things interesting. It would make it so that every division or every conference or every match, every game has more weight to it. What?
I don't think that would end up happening. I think that if you increase the salary cap for the Jets and the Browns, they would maybe be slightly better because they have a slight advantage, but they're still terribly run franchises. Like, the issue with the Jets is not money. It's
their owner.
It's ownership. It's who's running it. Like, you can give a homeless person a lot of money, but a lot of them would not buy a home because they're just drug addicts and things like that, or have mental health issues. It's a similar type of thing with like these poverty franchises. Like, you can give them more money, but they're not necessarily going to use it effectively. Like
that is a fair point. You could throw a guy a life preserver. You may not take it.
The Mets have the second highest payroll in baseball, and they have like one of the worst records in the league right now. They're at the bottom of the NL East. Like we said before, the NL East sucks.
Yeah.
So they're at the bottom of the NL East. So I don't think money is always the answer. Money doesn't make you smart. Money can also dig you holes in sports.
Right.
Well,
So I just don't see. I don't think that would really be a solution. The thing with the NFL, which is different than the NBA, is I think the NBA is really more of a haves and have-nots league, at least this year it seems like,
I
than
would
the
agree.
NFL. I think in the NFL, you can turn a franchise around a little more quickly. Like if you look at a team like the Panthers, they were expected to be one of the worst teams in the league last year and still managed to make the playoffs. They were like a roughly average team, you can say. I think in the NFL, that can happen a little more easily than in the NBA. Whereas in the NBA right now, it's like, if you look at the worst teams, unless they really hit on a draft pick, they're going to be a dog shit franchise until they do. Like that is what I think the difference is. Like at least if Bryce, even in football, if your quarterback's not great, if he has a somewhat decent season, if everything goes a certain way, you can say maybe we can make a little bit of a run. You never know. In basketball, it feels a lot more hopeless for a lot of these teams.
David, I got to ask you a question. You said you covered a lot of these teams. Do you feel that regardless of the solution that we're talking about, regardless of it being practical, do you feel if there was a better diversification of talent in the NBA right now, that the situation wouldn't be as bad where you have the haves and have-nots across the board? Do you feel like it'd be a little bit more diversified?
I actually think it's going to get worse. Like I said, right now it's kind of like, because here's the issue going on there. They want to expand 2 more teams.
Yeah,
they want to put in Seattle, and Seattle should never lost team in the first place, and they want to put in Vegas. So and then these owners are like expansion fees and everything else, and like the talent's just going to get more and more strained. The only way we get better, and Draymond Green talked about this before, he thinks the league is turning more European.
I would agree.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of and the same goes for baseball. Baseball, we're having a lot of outsourcing of talent. With basketball, it's no different. I do think that's actually a good thing, though. Having more of a source pool to pull talented players that are going to be fun to watch can only be a positive.
I agree completely.
Yeah, the other thing, and I think I said, what I'm about to say it will never happen. I think the problem, too, is a lot of these guys think, hey, I played a year in the league, I'm ready to go pro, and they need more seasoning. And that's the problem. They get in the league, they're 19, 20. They're like, they're not really that good. And then you don't see them really much in the offseason. Like, oh, this guy was worried. You get some, like Anthony Edwards, he's one, but a lot of them are just like, I think James Worthy said, because they love being on Twitter, they love getting tattoos, and they want to go out and party and be with celebrities. They're not really focused on their game. Like the days of Kobe Bryant are, for the most part, are history. These guys aren't doing, hey, I lost. Like you're not going to see, I'm throwing an example like Joel Embiid, like summertime, June, July. I mean, the only one, like you said, you're not going to have that guy dedicated. Like you had the one, which I always laugh every year, was the Ben Simmons. Like he's coming back and then doesn't come back. So.
Well, I wouldn't say those days are over. I don't think it's that much different than it used to. Kobe, even in his era, was an outlier. I think if you look at somebody like SGA, for instance, I think he's way more interested in being like a star basketball player.
Yeah, he wants to be the best. Right. There are guys like that, yes. But
Anthony Edwards, too, I think is also like that. I don't think he cares that much about the celebrity. He just wants to win. If you look at somebody like Ja Morant, it's like, all right, he seems a bit distracted. But
yeah,
that's always been the case. I think that's always been the case. There's always been a bunch of guys that wanted to party. I mean, if you look at Kobe's teammates, he was the outlier on the Lakers. Like his teammates, they wanted to go out and party. Like he said it himself in interview. Right. So I think that's always been the case a little bit.
And the game is a lot different than when Kobe played too. Now these guys all do is shoot threes. Yeah. There's nobody's like, you're not bulking up, you're not working down low, whatever else. Like there's some guys who are doing it, but it's not like a league you go, man, these guys, if these guys today had to play during the Jordan era, when they played the Knicks, like John Starks era, they would get blown off the court.
Well, but the flip side is that if they played in the Jordan era, they'd probably make those adjustments. But because of this era of game, they don't need to. Just like how if guys in the Jordan era played in today's era, they'd be shooting a lot more threes. They'd probably adjust. It's like if they played,
they'd be getting fined for all the hard fouls too, like the bad
players in their era. And a lot of times, I think players to some extent shape the eras that they're in. So I don't think that.
I agree with that. I agree wholeheartedly.
It's like when people talk about all-time greats, and people talk about Babe Ruth, for instance, and people might say, well, look at his competition. Or you look at Bill Russell and say, look at the competition they played against. And to some extent, that's true. But at the same time, if they played today, they'd have access to like so much better technology and better training. They'd be able to
Better nutrition.
Right. You can't do it in one direction. So I just think that players shooting threes more now. I think part of the reason, though, is also because it's one of those things. It's like home runs in baseball. Like way more players can hit home runs. I mean, we have leadoff hitters hitting home runs in baseball now, which we used to never see. It's a similar thing with a three-point shot. It's one of those things in sports where there's an upward trajectory, and so many more guys can shoot threes. And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's kind of like, or another example would be in football, quarterbacks running. Every young quarterback is somewhat mobile. The days of Brady, Eli, Peyton Manning are over. It's a similar thing in basketball. It's like a star five has to be able to shoot. Like Kareem could not, like the Kareem type of player who never really shot from the outside, or the Shaq era, that's all over in basketball. It's a similar type of thing. I think the way I see the NBA is that it's just evolution. It's just evolution. And that's just that's just what players adjust to.
It's a shame, honestly, going back to David's earliest point about how we're just seeing a lack of talent across the board. Yes, expanding, the source pool will give us more opportunities of seeing that star-studded talent. But I look at this also as a failing of the G League. Like the G League was not meant to be this ice box where you just keep people that you could probably potentially pull up on ice. It was supposed to be where players made that jump in work ethic, in hunger, in skill. It's now a purgatory for them.
As somebody who works in the American Hockey League for the NHL, the development league for the NHL, I concur with that statement 100% with what Connor just mentioned, because I think David can back me up on this, that about 85% of NHL players currently playing in hockey today played at least one game in the AHL, which is the league that I work in here in San Diego.
Yeah, it's like a AAA developmental league. That's what the G League was supposed to be. It was supposed to be guys,
and instead it became a flop.
Yeah, don't even get me started on the UFL, XFL, CFL. Like that whole circuit was supposed to be the same, and then fizzled and died.
When the G League basically put their tombstone into the ground, that was it. I forget the guy's name. But he got paid in G League and then went back to college. And it was like,
that was the
guy at Baylor.
Baylor, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I had a similar situation with a guy named Charlie Darling, I think. Yeah, he was with the Delaware Bluecoats, the Sixers affiliate, and went back to college and played at Santa Clara last season.
But talking about, like, Connor, you were talking about the lack of talent. Do you think maybe it's not a lack of talent and just the distribution of talent? Because I think the NBA is very talented. It's just not equally distributed, and it just looks like there's a lack of talent because the talent is so top heavy with certain teams. I think that's what it is more than it is not enough talent to go around. I think if you had more talent, I think it would just end up stacking the teams that already have talent and would leave the other teams further behind.
This is where I slightly disagree because, and it goes, and this is going to be a dumb analogy, but if I fill this cup of water up and I continue filling it past the point of where it's full, it's just going to pour over. So yes, you're right. The more talent in the league is going to mean that more teams are going to get top heavy, but they can only get so much to a certain point. If there was an excess of talent, which is not realistic, but if there was an excess in talent, then even with the teams grabbing up all they're getting, there would still be more than enough for a lot of these shittier teams.
No, but the point is, if those players are all on those really good teams, because the good teams are the ones that are run much better than those bad teams, if the teams are not run effectively, if they're run by a bunch of clowns, like that, they're not going to get good players. Like that really could.
But how would they be able to afford them? Like, I think this idea of how top heavy a team could get is inherently limited by, if these players really are all that, how are you going to get them on what would be a shoestring budget with how much you're paying everybody else?
True.
Yeah. Under the current CBA, it is substantially more difficult to have super teams, although we see one right now. I'd rather have a league with multiple super teams and only one super team.
Yeah, where it's that team versus everybody else. Yeah.
Right. Like I look at Oklahoma City right now, and it's like, okay, they're the only super team. I would rather have like 2 or 3 super teams and be like, oh, well, at least it's a little more interesting. But it's less interesting when there's only one super team.
I was going to talk regarding Connor's thing with like the diversity or else. I wonder if the NBA would ever consider like reducing rosters, meaning like you have more teams, but you have 15 right now active playing. Say you knock it to 12, so 3 times, let's say 90 guys basically lose their gigs, and then maybe you may. I don't say hypothetically that's how you would get the G League back in order, but I think it's too late at that point. But that's one thing I would consider is it's just knocking down rosters.
Well, the problem with that is that then a lot of teams would lack depth. That would be a problem.
True. I mean, yes, but also how often do we see? Well, no, I guess you have a point because after a certain point, you have to play the health angle.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is maybe if there's a team like Oklahoma City and you go, well, we have this, we can't afford you, or else they say a shitty team like Washington or New Orleans who goes, look, we'll pay you more, we'll bring you here, and we like what you could do. That's what I meant, like you're not getting some guy who's still sitting around the league averaging a point a game at like 37 years old. And
they're always DNP coaches' decisions 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, wasting a roster spot, exactly. So that's what I was thinking, more of like to make the league better, because that's the worst thing you just don't want is, I mean, it's already starting with the tanking. Next thing you know, you're just going to have team like this Wizards team over and over again winning only like 20 games.
Well,
and like Brooklyn.
I think you do have a little bit of a point. I'm looking at those Spurs and Timberwolves rosters right now.
Right.
They each have, I mean, the Spurs have 5 players that haven't entered the game, and the Timberwolves have 6 players that haven't entered the game.
Right.
So so I guess maybe that's true on some level. It's like, all right, maybe like the rosters are a little big. I think a lot of those guys will probably enter the game at some point because I don't think they're going to play an 8-man rotation. But yeah, I guess you could say that a lot of teams just have a lot of players that are just serving no purpose.
Yeah, I mean, every team's different. Like I was just looking at the Knicks game 3 where they, like you said, not today's game, and they used up pretty much every guy. But I mean, like someone will use their full roster. But usually in the playoffs, you're going with like your starting 5 and maybe you go 4 deep max. And you're going like 9 guys, and you're just rotating them. So, yeah.
I do want to just jut in here really quick and say if anyone is keeping an eye on this Wolves game, I was not expecting it to remain as competitive as it is right now.
Boat race.
This is a very interesting game.
Oh.
I think the Wolves can still win it.
Yeah, Wolves are. I mean, San Antonio was winning. I saw that. I was like, you got to be kidding me. That surprised me. I thought, yes, San Antonio's up 4. But like you said, they're using their bench. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Well, like I said, Harper came out. He's got 18 points tonight. So, yeah, I mean, they're getting guys. That's what I said. They actually have a really good roster. You know, Fox and Vassell and Castle and others.
Fox is super dependable.
Yeah, I mean, they got some good players. I mean, losing Victor is tough, but, yeah, I mean, yeah. Just I'm surprised. I thought they were going to lose by 15 tonight, but then I'm looking at Minnesota. Rudy Gobert's only shot 5 times. Like, how is he not? How are you not taking advantage of that and saying you're going to shoot a ton of shots?
You know, it's also funny as a whole because if you think about it, I personally don't see the Wolves getting anywhere past this game. So, like as you were saying before earlier, they're playing with house money. The
right
Spurs.
No, the Wolves.
The Wolves, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What were we talking?
We're talking Spurs Wolves, yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about Steve Kerr's extension for a minute?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So the Warriors officially signed Steve Kerr to a 2-year deal on Saturday. This doesn't really surprise me. The question I have is this a last dance contract to let the dynasty ride into the sunset together, or can Kerr reinvent the Warriors' veteran core one more time?
Oof, I don't know about
and
that.
I think the answer to that is it's one last ride into the sunset together.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, he was offered $7 million per reports to go back to ESPN.
Well, I mean, you look at Golden State, you're going to have Curry. they got to work out the thing with him and Green. Green sounds like that whole thing like hindering his career. I was like, dude, what are you expecting 25 a game? You're going to get Jimmy Butler back after being out all year. Unless they go out in the free agent market or try and go get somebody. I like you said, I think it's one more run. These guys, and then they'll just blow up the thing and move on, and then it'll be a total rebuild after that. Because Butler will be gone, Curry and all of them. Yeah.
I still don't understand. This is just me, but I don't understand why the Warriors hung on to Draymond Green as long as they did, because that dude cost them more games that mattered to them than I personally feel like he won for them. And I saw that interview between him and Barkley, and it was just, the height of ego in the face of just a lackluster performance.
Did you see that one thing they broke down? So Draymond made a comment to Barkley, almost like trying to embarrass him, like, yeah, you could play your last 4 years in Houston, and they broke it down, and he had better numbers than Draymond Green.
Yeah, he made some comment about how like the goal is to not look like you did when you were playing for the Rockets. And then, as David just said, dude, the numbers are way better than you right now. What are you talking about? And he also wasn't getting ejected from the game for doing dumb crap.
And costing his team games, as you said, including the 16 finals against Cleveland.
Yeah.
I wasn't even watching basketball at that time, and I knew that happened, and I was like, wow, that's terrible.
I think that Draymond Green's cost them a lot, and certainly cost them with his antics. I don't dispute that. Draymond Green's career, I would say, very much was a best case scenario for him. Like the type of player that he is could have gone so many different directions. And he was in a really good situation, and his skill set really complemented the rest of that team. Like if he played for the Knicks, it's like I feel like he might be viewed a little differently. But look, Draymond Green's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I guess.
Gold medalist, won all that stuff, absolutely. And as I said, he was the third or fourth wheel, and when those championships, he was the third or fourth guy you want shooting ball. You had Curry, 1, Thompson, 2. They had Kevin Durant the 1 year. So you're not looking for Draymond Green, especially when you had Durant go, oh, hey, I want him to score 20. No, you just want him to rebound. And that's what he was really good. He would get 10 points, but also get the rebounds.
I could be wrong about this. I think he once had a triple-double without 10 points, but with steals.
Right.
That's the only player who would do that.
Holy crap.
And like you said, he's a great defensive player. I mean, he's won that, I think, a couple of times, defensive player of the year. Like I said, he's really good, but he also, like you said, the annex, the Jordan Poole situation where he punched him in the head and then Jordan had to leave. And then there was issues with him and Kevin Durant had to leave. So,
yeah.
I agree with you. They need to do some sort of maneuvering in picking someone up. They have to make this last ride a deep one. Like it has to go deep into the playoffs, and anything short of that, and it would just seem like a poor fizzling end to what otherwise was a very dominant core for such a long time.
Yeah, he finished on February 10th, 2017, he recorded the first and only triple-double in NBA history without reaching 10 points. He finished with 4 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals. That's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
But yeah, this 2-year run, if you think about it, Curry will be 40 and Draymond will be 38 at the end of this. And Jimmy Butler's 35, 36 at the end of this.
Yeah.
This is like the Wheeze kids type of thing. I said, it could end really, really ugly at the end.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. But yeah, I don't know. I really just think it's going to be them riding off into the sunset, and that's
right.
It. Like there's not really much more to do. Maybe he'll continue to coach for a long time. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they extended him, but like like that doesn't surprise me at all. But yeah, I don't think they don't have much more to prove. Is how I
no,
they don't.
No, and he's another future Hall of Famer too.
Yeah, yeah.
How many championships has he won? I mean, he won 4 or 5 as a player and 4 as a coach. I mean, he's like 9 rings.
I think he won. Well, he won what? He won in Chicago, San Antonio.
I think he won 3 as a player when he played in Chicago.
He also won in San Antonio.
Yeah, and in San Antonio. So 4 as a player. 5 as a player. Because he's
a 9-time champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the Spurs in Yeah, because he was on the Spurs for 2 of those championships.
And wasn't he a coach on the Olympic team of one of those ones too?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a given.
I mean, it's not even so much for that reason, but yeah, I mean, for sure.
Nope. There we go.
No, there's Ben.
Hey,
Hey,
How's it going?
not much, guys.
We're just talking about Steve Kerr. Luckily for you, Ben, the Celtics aren't in the rundown for today's show.
oh,
No,
I do have to ask time. I do have to ask if we have time, because this has just been a story that I've been following for a while. I'm curious to hear what your guys' take on it. Have you guys been following at all with the college QB
Brendan
Sorsby?
Sorsby?
Yeah.
A little bit.
So,
we talked about it last week, I think.
We
you
did.
guys did.
I think we did, yeah.
Did
Yeah, we
you
did it
guys,
on Goalposts Lounge and on Press Row last week. Yeah.
Did you guys personally feel that him checking into a rehab facility was less so about him fixing the problem, more so about just getting him out of the public light while they resolve whatever they're planning on doing?
yes.
I felt like that was a waste. Oh, like it was just like a show.
But
Yeah, I feel like he did it because he felt like he had to, and if he didn't get caught, he probably wouldn't have. That also doesn't mean it doesn't help him. Like, it doesn't mean he can't get the benefits of going into rehab anyway. Like if an alcoholic gets caught drunk driving and goes into rehab, I mean, sure, you're only going into rehab because you got caught. It doesn't mean you're not going to benefit.
But it
from
doesn't nullify the positive from being there. Yeah,
Right. Like, I think that's probably true.
I think for me personally, the greater takeaway was this was just indicative of how much worse it is in just sports, professional or otherwise, where gambling is destroying the culture of the sport. Like I think about all the corruption in the NBA, how blatantly rigged some of this stuff is, and how many scandals we've had proving it, and nothing sincerely gets done about it.
Nothing happened since October when Nick and I, Morganson and I were on air and we were talking about stuff, and then all of a sudden the first news broke about the gambling scandal back in October, and we literally put the entire show like through the shredder and covered that whole story for the next 2.5+ hours.
I actually have a question. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right, so here's the question, just for everybody here in the panel, because you guys are definitely better at football than I am. So it sounds like Sorsby's going to go supplemental.
I would think so.
They don't think he's going to go to the NFL draft because of the gambling stuff, whatever. My question is, what team do you think would take a shot at him?
There are a lot of college teams that are a QB away from being viable, and I wouldn't go
NFL supplemental. He wouldn't go back to college.
I would say. I mean, at this point, the fucking Cardinals are playing the infinity gauntlet with QBs. They're just collecting them left and right. So why not add another?
I was gonna go to the Browns. The Browns always seem to kind of just pick up guys that have a little bit of
baggage.
Baggage, yeah.
The Browns are a good fit, but I'm convinced that Shador's the guy and he will like pull through. But you know,
I mean, does this guy have QB1 like traits? Like, I don't know enough about this guy to know. So
not really, but we haven't seen a lot from him. He does have good stats. Like, I won't lie. Like, I'll pull up his stats. I was just talking about it on the show a little while back ago.
I will say this, Ben. According to they were predicting next year's draft, he was number 7.
Okay.
So let's see, he's 6'3", 235, so good physique. You know, not Josh Allen height and stature, but not bad. In 2025, he only played 12 games. He had 27 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 2,800 yards with a 61.6 completion rate. Rushing, he had 9 touchdowns, 580 yards. So for not a lot of time played, he had a real big impact.
I gotta say the thing with him that's going to get him is that betting of Indiana. That's where they're going to get him.
Betting on a team he was on doesn't help the cause.
You know, another team I think might kick the tires on him in terms of supplemental and get him. How about Pittsburgh? I know they drafted Howard.
Why, bro? What are they gonna do with Howard? Like, either let the dog free or send him to a different team. I know he's fun to watch.
I just meant well, as I said, that's the other thing we talked about earlier about the tanking thing. How many of these teams are going to tank next year just because about the QB thing with Arch Manning and these other ones getting drafted next year? A lot.
Everyone's talking about Arch Manning. I'm really excited to see Trinidad Chambliss go
Bro,
to the
same.
NFL.
Yeah. That
Like,
game that he won the college football playoff made me so hyped. Like I'm all for like guys that like nobody talks about, but it breaks out in the scene for a game like that.
For
Like
sure.
that's the guy that I love.
I'm convinced
No, go for it.
Chambliss will get a 7th year. He'll just keep
Well,
going.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he goes to the NFL because here's the thing. Trinidad Chambliss is more than just a sleeper. He's a proven champion. He won twice he won championships twice in D2 before he said, fuck it, I'm going to run it in D1 with no guarantee of a spot, just dog mentality, competitor mentality, gets on the team, plays in the playoffs with very little time in the regular season, and still throws baller games. Like, I think this is a guy who wants to win because he is a winner. And you add his stats lines on top of that, his physique. I want the Lions to take him, is what I'm getting at. I want the Lions to draft him. You know, everyone can have Arch Manning. I'm sure he's going to be a beast, but give me Trinidad Chambliss all day.
Yeah.
David, who's not to say though if the supplemental draft doesn't work, what if he pulls a Warren Moon and goes to Canada?
Could do that. Could go to the UFL. I mean, I know UFL is supposed to be a developmental, although we really know it's not.
Yeah.
CFL is definitely a possibility. Go play up there, and then somebody might, a year or two down the road, will say, hey, we'll take you down here. Absolutely.
Yeah, that whole thing that whole story is just weird.
Yeah. I mean, like Connor said best, man, gamble just wrecks you. I mean, that's what I said.
Yeah.
It's funny how 10 years ago, you never even see it on a pregame baseball, football, basketball, hockey. And now they're throwing it in your face for every game.
Yeah.
Well, I think the difference is that now it's a lot easier to get caught. The fact that gambling is not run by the mafia anymore.
Well, I mean, the whole Chauncey Billups thing.
I was going to say exactly NBA gambling scandal. Yes.
Well, a portion of gambling is run by the mafia. The entire industry is not run by the mafia.
You're right.
I mean, if you look at like how these scandals are discovered, it's Vegas discovering these scandals. So the difference, I think, is that it's a lot easier to catch them now. I mean, it's a lot easier to catch an athlete betting on his own sport when he does it from a DraftKings account than if he does it underground with gangsters.
Yeah.
So that's another big part of it. And I'd rather know about it than not know about it.
What I don't understand is if you're going to do stupid things, do them smartly. You are getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars on some of your contracts. And if you want to chase a bet just for the love of the game because you love to gamble, why don't you grab your cousin third removed that you haven't spoken to in 13 fucking years?
Stop giving them ideas.
I'm just saying, man, like watch a James Bond movie once in a while. Do a dead drop. Do something.
Casino Royale.
You're going to encourage them to get away with it. Like
It's insane to me.
I think a lot of those NBA guys just think like, I'm bulletproof. I'm not going to get caught.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of them were probably indebted to the mafia, Chauncey Billups. And
that's how it works. They would load up a fake game that was inherently rigged so that all the players at the table would become indebted to large, loan interest by the mafia. And the mafia would turn around and be like, hey, you can pay off your loan. We just need you to influence the game a certain way.
Yeah.
It's rigged.
Yeah.
The mob's been doing that since like the 50s, and
Like
so
it's like watching The Godfather.
it was. I felt like I was watching an epilogue to the Goodfellas or something.
Godfather.
Well, I mean that's what happened with the Boston College point saving scandal.
Yeah,
that was all the mafia involved, and it would be a lot harder to pull that off today without getting caught.
Dude, I feel bad for Sorsby. I don't think this is going to impact his ability to go to the NFL. I think he's still going to go to the NFL because as a whole, how many times have we seen, a player get accused of something serious like shit, manslaughter or something? Or
what, though? This is still worse in a lot of ways because it's integrity of the game. It's different.
There's no way integrity of the game is worse than manslaughter. I'm sorry. I love sports, but like...
No. I'm not saying morally it's worse. I'm saying it's worse for NFL teams because it directly involves the game. That's the point I'm making.
I mean, you could make that point. My counterpoint would be is you have teams right now that have like sex criminals as their like QBs. So it's like, as from an entertainment standpoint and a business standpoint, that's just as terrible for them as a business as someone who may gamble on a game.
Well, okay, if Deshaun Watson was betting on games, it would. I mean, look, I don't know what would have happened. I think chances are he wouldn't have gotten the contract that he had if he had bet on games.
I think the NFL is incredibly forgiving. I think the NFL will take him without any problems, purely because he can put up the stats that he does.
Well, the difference, though, is that when you look at players that are accused of heinous things, they're all like proven players. They're all proven. They're all clearly accomplished. You look at somebody like Tyreek Hill, who's done some horrible things. It's like he was also one of the best wide receivers in the league. Brendan Sorsby was a very good college quarterback. He's a good prospect, but we don't really know what he's going to be in the NFL. It's a little like, even without the scandal, every team is taking a chance on him to some extent. You're not taking a chance on Tyreek Hill, for instance. You know he's great. So I think it's a little different in that sense.
The thing that's going to be interesting with Sorsby is I just looked up here. They have a June 30th deadline to see if he's ineligible. If he's ineligible, then the draft is in August. So you basically have about a 5, 6, 7, let's say a 4 to 8 week window to figure out who this guy is. So more as you have to bring him in and have an interview with him before you even consider drafting him. It's like, okay, are you still gambling? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? You know, and like, does he fit your system and whatever? Is it going to be one of those things like with workouts? So you have to bring him into the practice facility. By the way, during training camps, we add this too. And then you got to figure out, do we go get him in the supplemental draft?
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of question marks.
Yeah. And how many teams, well, I mean, say, like, you get off top of your head, how many teams you know for a fact will not even touch them? Like the Raiders won't because they got Cousins and Mendoza. The Patriots won't. The Giants won't. They got, everybody's got their thing of quarterbacks. It's like, why are we even bringing them in? The Eagles won't. Of course, they got 40-year-old Andy Dalton on the team, and they won't even touch him.
Hey, Red Rocket.
Yeah.
He's the backup this year.
You know, I am kind of curious to see how the Seahawks perform and the Raiders now that Clint Kubiak's there and not with the Seahawks. I speak from a personal experience being the Lions losing both Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson in the same year. We were just not the same team the following year. So I'm curious to see if this new diversification of coaching talent is going to like are the Seahawks going to be, without a paddle up Schitt's Creek, or are the Raiders actually going to be able to be a competent team?
Right. Well,
I
for
can't
me,
trust
Raiders. Not with that defense.
Well, I just can't trust their culture, their consistent culture. I can't trust that.
I mean,
I trust their consistent culture of losing.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, and once again, we talk about it, bad ownership. I mean, you look at that one. You got Mark Davis, who really doesn't care, and then Tom Brady, that to me is just all conflicted. You're a broadcaster / owner / coordinator when you're next to Chip Kelly in the booth. It's like, I just think that to me is just a double standard. He shouldn't even be. He should be one or the other. Broadcaster, part owner.
Gotta be an ultimatum sometime soon.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's like it's a clear conflict of interest for somebody who's a part owner to be a broadcaster covering that team.
And here's how you know that organization is so fucked, pardon my French. $50 million in coaches they are paying out who are not in the organization. Josh McDaniels and Pete Carroll and Chip. I think Chip was
Chip Kelly. Kelly, they gave him all guaranteed money, and I think that's immediately why he decided to just say, all right, fuck this job. If I tank it, I tank it. I'll just go back to college and get paid more millions.
That's like I said. Pete Carroll's got the best. Like I said, $20 million. He's in Southern Cal on a beach, fully retired. And as I said, he's like, okay, when's my next check come in? That's why I said that to me is just, we talked about bad administrators like the Jets and this one and that one. That's what comes down to. It's guys like that, the Raiders. And then you have the opposite, like the Patriots. And I'm trying to think, like I said, this year with the Patriots, they really just have it all set up a certain way. And that's why they've won championships. Another bad one to me, as far as I'm concerned, it's the Cowboys.
Yep.
Well, before you move on from the Cowboys, you forgot one honorable mention for the Raiders. They also have that lawsuit with John Gruden.
Oh, that's right.
Gruden is suing him for the remainder of his contract that was voided, that he felt was voided unfairly. And I think that's a contract of like 15 million.
How many lawsuits is Gruden? He's suing the league too, right?
He sued. I think this is his second or third.
Yeah, because there was something about with the league. They wanted it either like the transcripts not posted or whatever it was, and Gruden won.
Was that the Dennis Allen ordeal with the Washington football team?
That's the anticipated
with the emails and stuff? They could have been. Yeah. And the league didn't want him to whatever it was. Now I guess Gruden can bring in these witnesses, or they could whatever it is and talk about it. I mean, Gruden is going to be a thorn in Roger Goodell's side until Goodell.
I'm not going away, old man.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens with the Raiders. I mean, they did get the number 1 pick, so that certainly could turn the franchise around. So for the bitter aftertaste,
yeah,
March Madness is expanding to 76 teams. Everybody hates this. I've talked about this a lot before it was made official. Well, I don't know what year. Well, when is it officially starting? Next year?
I believe it's next school year, so 26,
Next year.
27.
Oh,
okay.
Mhm.
My thing is that sports fans love to complain. Sports fans are full of grievances. Sports fans complain about the silliest things in the world. And the one thing almost all of us agree on is that we love the tournament. You finally have something that nobody complains about, and you mess with it.
It's the old line of
you do that?
It's the old line of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Thank you.
1,000%. I 1,000% agree. Why are you messing this up? And last year, did we really need like an Auburn team with a losing record in the SEC in the tournament? No,
nepotism.
No, we didn't need that. We didn't need those teams in. I mean, there's a lot already. We don't need 76 teams. There are not 76 teams that are worthy of being in the tournament that are good enough, really, realistically. It's this whole thing of more is always better. The perception that more is better. More is not always
Sometimes
better.
less is more.
Right. Yeah. So I think everybody kind of agrees with this. We all kind of hate this. So at what point does like expansion turn into dilution? Because we're diluting the tournament and we're diluting the regular season, the meaning of the regular season.
Well, that's the biggest thing is like I remember like when the college football expansion playoffs happened in terms of how people were feeling initially about that. The thing about that is that I like is like you have some teams that get the chance to have some playoff games at home, kind of like an NFL type of feel about that. But with this, it's like you mentioned, Nick, like now you obviously bring in a lot more losing teams, like record-wise, into it, in which you might consider like there might be a team that come in the outside looking in that has a better record, like when you look about that should be in. But now, of course, we have the expansion that comes in now, and you bring a losing record of a team now because of this. That could happen. It's like Callan said, if don't break, don't fix it. There's a lot of things, of course, that I'm open to. I'm open to expansion here and there. This is not it. You essentially have
this is way too radical.
Yeah, you have a bracket that's already big enough, and you don't need this. It's all a money grab from the NCAA. It's clear as day.
Well, here's my question. Does the money grab, obviously it's motivated by greed, right? We can agree with that.
Television networks, conferences,
commercial ad revenue, all this
commercial ad revenue.
Right. So will this money eventually be good for the programs though? Like I agree that there will be this period of dilution, but then at the same time having teams that otherwise wouldn't be in March Madness now 5 years deep into having all this extra funding because of it, would they be able to field a better team and thus within the next 10 years make a contribution to this tournament? I think so. I think for right now it'll suck, but this is only a positive for the teams that are getting the invite, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it'll be a boost a little bit for a lot of the mid-majors who maybe get a couple teams in with the expansion, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's just I think the whole panel agrees on this, that this is just dumb. There's no reason to mess with it. Everybody loves it. Why take something that everybody loves and try to, especially with a group of people, sports fans that are very hard to please, and trying to and thinking you can somehow make it better.
Wait, so let me get this straight because I'm still kind of like reading between the lines of this. Are they essentially how many more extra teams are they actually bringing into this?
8 more.
Sorry,
Eight more?
8 more.
They'll go from 68 to 76.
Okay, so
And that adds what 4 more?
It's going to be the
That adds
first
4
eight?
more first like that adds I think 4 more playing games I think too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's like the first 8 now instead of the first.
Yeah.
4.
So Connor could gamble more.
Yeah. No,
So
my
my consideration with this would be then because they have the first 4 on 2 days.
Yeah.
And they usually would have 2 games on each night. Does that mean that they would put the same location but for 4 straight days? I don't think that would be probably the case. You would probably
It would be in Dayton probably still, who knows.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
you probably definitely could get a another place to do it and have like a secondary first 4, I guess, somewhere else.
That or I was going to say, where they're at in the bracket, send them to one of the regional arenas and have them play it there.
yeah.
Great idea. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, we also were hearing about college football is potentially expanding to 24 teams.
24.
Oh my god, that sounds like
that.
even.
I want that. I want that so bad. I want to.
Why do you want 24 teams?
I want it so bad because again, if we're complaining about talent and with especially the NFL not really training players to be NFL ready, like how many times do we see these really good players go from college and just be duds in the NFL? There's a really short patience span for developing QBs now. Like no teams really develop QBs anymore as a practice, even though it's been proven to be the best way to get QBs Super Bowl ready. Is with more teams being able to compete at the highest level, more incentive for the programs to develop teams to do so, which means more players are going to be on the field with a credible chance of making it to the NFL. It's in the short term, you're going to have shitty performances, but overall, long term, I think we're going to see them become competitors. There's no way a sports program isn't going to develop to be a competitor with all this extra money they're going to be making.
Wait, so why? I don't understand what that has to do with the NFL, though.
So my point to the NFL is we were talking about earlier about how there's not like that there's a talent development problem, and we mentioned in another show as well. There's a talent development problem with the NFL, and it makes it so that only maybe 2 dozen picks out of every draft intrinsically matter to teams. And that's because there's not a lot of overarching talent. More teams, more players is going to result in more talented players going to the NFL. It's just a population increase at its core.
But it's the same number of teams. Why would that? It's just more teams that are making the playoffs.
Right. More teams make the playoffs, which means they have more ad time, screen time, and they have more money going to their programs because they're appearing in the playoffs.
But what I don't understand what that has to do with them going to the NFL.
Because my point is, and
you're saying like instead of skipping meaningless bowl games, they end up playing a meaningful game.
They end up playing meaningful games. They get more money. The program then in turn invests money into their into their college football program, which means they're able to talent hunt better. They're able to canvas the country better. The more teams that have the purse to really dig for players, the more players we're going to see in college networks. That's just it. It's more people looking for these players, more teams.
The one thing when it comes to what I was going to say, sorry, I just got distracted by the basketball game. The one thing, though, when it comes to the college playoff thing, as I want to see, is that there's no break. Meaning, like, when you play in these 24, it's just game, like, not like when unless you get to the championship and it's like, okay, maybe we're doing 10. It felt like that semifinal to get to the national championship, it felt like it was a huge, like break in between. I want to see those guys play every week. Knock it like the first 4 probably get a bye. I guess that's how you work it out, or 8. I don't know how that would work out, and then just play. Boom, 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 boom. No breaks, and then you have your champion. Because that's what I say. Like my thing is, you go 24. Like how long's your season? Is it still 12? Is it like, hey, we're going to chop a game or two? That's my question.
Well, my issue ultimately is that there's never 24 teams that are worthy of a playoff spot. I mean, that's my biggest thing. Last year, were there 24 teams worthy of a college football playoff spot? Are you kidding me? Not even close.
No.
Like, that just didn't, like, that never happens. And I am not, let's handle 12 first. Maybe if it looks like the talent's getting better, there's more good teams, then maybe talk about expansion. We just expanded to 12 teams. Why?
Yeah.
Why are we already talking about doubling that?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Well, it's this.
We have to handle the 12 teams first. And everybody talks about like playoff expansion because some team is whining that they didn't get in. Well, because like the 13th or 14th team is whining that they didn't get in.
Right.
It's like the same thing with 24 teams. It's going to be the 25th and 26th team not getting in. It's the same exact thing. And by the way, it's harder to justify a top 24 playoff in the sense that it's harder to justify your top 24 teams than your top 12 teams. I can easily give you my top 12 teams every year. Nobody could really give you your top 24, top 30 teams. Like it's a little harder to do. So that's just like handle the 12. Handle the 12 teams first and see where it goes from there. Why are we doing 1 year of 12 and then being like, oh, 24, we got to double it?
Because they see dollar signs and they always and for the colleges too, it's also recruiting because you got some kid maybe he's on a farm and like they like like well you're good like hey we made the college football playoff last year like you come here and it's more with that scholarships and this thing and NIL money. I don't know if that will ever get fixed in college football. Just that I always hear it's broke with NIL and this thing, and there was talk about fixing it, and I don't know if it'll ever get fixed college football. And now
I don't know if it because the flip side of that conversation is like they did need it. Players should have been getting compensated for the millions that they were making. I do think it's going to affect overall hunger in athletes because I think of Carson Beck all the time. That dude managed his college career in regards to NIL. I don't want to say perfectly, but he made sure to make every cent he could before he went on to the NFL. Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of people who complain about NIL forget about the old system. How absurd the old system of college sports was, where
the coach would buy you things secretly, and
you could get in trouble for that, or the concept of improper benefits and things like that. It was so absurd. Like what happened with Reggie Bush, he had to turn in his Heisman because he had an agent, God forbid, like things like that. Like were just so absurd under the old system.
Yeah,
I think people often forget about. And often long for the old system as opposed to the new system, which sometimes look, no system is going to be perfect. I don't disagree, but you just have to weigh them both out is how I see it.
Yeah. I just think they're going to 24 though. Wow. But
it's too much for it.
Too much.
Like you said, it's all about the money. As you said, that's where it comes down to. It's about money. Like Connor said, advertising. And like you said, they're just going to ask for, tons of dough. Yeah.
Here's how I see it. My way for fixing the college football playoff would be keep it at 12 teams and just get rid of the automatic bids. And I think it's a pretty good idea. I mean, if we picked the top 12 teams last year, I would have said, I would have been I don't want automatic bids for a G5 team automatically or anything like that. I just want to see the top 12 teams and that's it. If you have top 20, if you have a 24 team playoff, I would say, all right, in that case, maybe automatic bids would make a certain amount of sense because it's hard to pick 24 without automatic bids. But with 12, it's pick the top 12 teams. That's really it. That's how I see it. Just pick the top 12, the 12 best teams. And that would make a lot more sense. I didn't want to see, last year, I didn't want to see James Madison and Tulane in the 12 in the 12 team playoff. No, those were not even close to top 12.
No disrespect to them, but
no, I'm just being honest about it. Those were not. Nobody actually thought they were top 12 teams. All right, so I want to move on to the master blend. So Skip Bayless returned to First Take.
Yeah.
So my question for the panel is, what do you make of Skip returning to First Take? And the way I see it is that I'm surprised it took this long. Right? Like, I'm surprised it took this long for Skip to actually return to First Take. You'd think it would have happened sooner. I mean, they got Mad Dog on doing once a week before they end. I mean, Skip has been out of Fox Sports for what, almost a year now, over a year now?
I thought it was well over a year.
Well over a year. You'd think they would have brought him back. I mean, I understand when he was at Fox, they couldn't, but you'd think they would have brought him back.
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like there's been such a decline around the content that Skip provided after, in my opinion, after what had happened between him and Shannon. And then he got embroiled, but then later cleared of like the Taylor Joyce, or was that her name? Taylor Joy or Taylor Joyce?
Joy Taylor.
Joy Taylor. I always get that mixed up.
Names.
Joy. This is the third time actually I've done that. But Joy Taylor, like, he was named in it. It was a thing that was going on. So like, it doesn't surprise me that they waited for this amount of time before bringing him back.
I mean, he's been out there since over a year, but I mean, as I said, I guess these guys just don't. I guess he'll just die behind the sports desk. He's 74 years old. You think, like, you know what? I had a pretty awesome career. I enjoy retirement, hang with the family. That's what I said. It's just like, I feel like ESPN, that whole morning show thing with, was it the Greenberg show, and then this? It's almost like they're just reaching.
Get Up.
Yeah. Oh, just they're both are so bad. But I mean, you're talking. Like I said, they've had what? They had Shannon Sharp. He got bounced. They have Cam Newton. And I guess if somebody must say, hey, we'll get this guy here. Like, thinking like something will happen between those two. And it's like, did it boost the ratings? Like, was there a spike all of a sudden? I'm like, I'm just saying, I don't know. But I'm just like, I kind of saw that. I was just like, all right, whatever. But that's what I said. Like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I loved it. I love that Skip was back on. I mean, that was classic First Take. I mean, people like to hate Skip and all that, but like, how many sports media people do you like to hate? Like, it's only a few special ones that you really like to hate, and Skip Bayless plays the role so well.
He's a heel. He's like, just like in wrestling, he's a heel.
He's a good heel is the point. It's like Max Kellerman tried to be the heel too when he was on First Take, and he was bad at it. Like, Skip Bayless does it better than anybody else. Like, that's how amazing, like, that's how good he is. He, like, I understand he's a heel, but he does it. He's good at it. He's good.
He embraces it.
It's not just that he embraces it. He's just good at it. Like, in other ways, it's hard to explain. But like,
no, it's a perfect explanation. Like, I see what you're saying. He's a good heel. I think of like unlikable or sports announcers that I hate. I don't like Nick Wright. I think he's so blinded by his fanboy. Everyone's got a team, but he's so blinded by it that like all of his takes suck, or they all somehow gravitate back to the Chiefs. So, and he's not a heel. He's just, in my eyes, unlikable.
Well, that's the guy I blame for the Celtics going that way, by the way, because he picked us and the Nuggets to go to the finals. And of course, the two teams that a lot of people were expecting to make a deep run bounced in the first round.
Dude, that's how I used to feel whenever I saw Dave Portnoy's sponsored bets in DraftKings, and it just so happens to share the same leg as one of mine. I'm like, fuck, I'm cooked.
Oh man.
No, but look, yeah, he does it well. He plays the role well.
I wonder what the cast do we know who's going to be like doing the show with him?
Who?
I'm asking, do we know? Or...
No, who? I know you.
Yeah, what show are you talking about?
First Take.
It's just a recurring.
It's a rotation.
Rotating.
So
yeah,
no,
totally.
they didn't. I read maybe I was just going off of a wrong article, but I read that they were going to actually have like more like current like a steadier rotation of people. Like people
it seems like
they already have a steady rotation of people.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Wednesday it's Mantle Russo, and then like Thursday or whatever it is, it's Bayless. I think he was the Thursday one, so it's like that thing. And then Monday, it's Friday and Monday when it's football season, it's probably when Cam comes in.
Yeah, it depends on the season. But Skip, well, that was just a one-time thing, right? Is he supposed to go back every week?
I imagine it probably.
I think he's going to come time to time.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a weekly thing.
Yeah,
20 seconds left. I cannot believe it. The Wolves did it. I called it as soon as they ejected Victor. I was like, the Wolves are winning this game. Change your money lines.
Wow.
Wait, hold up.
But real quick with Stephen A, he controls that show, and he'll say who comes in and who goes away. So I imagine he'll have to say like, "Hey, I want him on Thursday or whatever it is, once a week, whatever it is, until like football." So because I mean, like that show especially only talks about really football and basketball because they don't touch baseball, they don't touch hockey. It's just those two, and that's it.
Yeah, because all the national TV shows are kind of like that now. They talk about football and basketball, and that's pretty much most. Maybe baseball during the playoffs or something like that, but they don't touch.
They don't even touch that. Like I mean, there were schemes like Votani, and he had whatever it was, and they were like more focused on Aaron Rodgers or some basketball game that really nobody cared about. The only one who talks about the baseball is McAfee.
Yeah, that's true.
And the Barstool guys in the morning.
Well, McAfee didn't like. Well, he didn't really care for baseball early on, but I think the guys around him did. So he started to like it, and then he said that Bryce Harper homer that I think in U.S. history could have went down as one of the biggest sports moments if they ended up pulling that game out. He said that was by far the loudest game that he's ever encompassed, and he's been to a lot of them, obviously. So
right.
Which to his extent, I mean, I wouldn't blame him. I mean, that homer was insanity. It just sucked, obviously, the way it happened, but
yeah, I just think though, like with the morning shows, I mean, like you said, if you're talking about like a balance of talk about anything and everything, it's really those Barstool guys and McAfee. The Greenberg and Stephen A shows, forget it. They'll just talk about one or two, especially with Greenberg's show. He'll talk about Aaron Rodgers for 3 months. Jets, Steelers, doesn't matter. He could be exit whatever team and just talk about like what's going on. Yeah. So yeah.
I think part of the reason is because baseball is such a local sport that like it's very big. Like if you listen to FAN or probably I'm sure on local Philly stations too and local Boston stations, I'm also sure they talk a lot of baseball, but it's very local. Baseball is very local. Mets and Yankees are huge in New York. But baseball topics nationally, it's like they're just not the biggest stories nationally typically. And also the hosts that they get to do these shows typically are not big baseball guys. Like they're known for talking about something else. They know a little bit.
That's how I felt when they fucking brought Jason Kelsey in to do the Masters. I was like, all right, I'm glad he's here. I didn't hate him for it.
Down our throats.
Really? Yeah,
like it's only because of who his future sister-in-law is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, leave it to the NFL and entertainment and business to find an untapped market. Like they're trying so hard to get Taylor's Swifties into football.
It's overkill though. With like I said, in my opinion, it's overkill with Jason Kelsey. And like I said, I loved him as an Eagle. Loved him when he helped him win a Super Bowl. But he does everything, man. It's like, dude. Take a breather. Take a chill. Like I said, you're got 4 kids. See what the kids are doing at home. He's on everything. I'm serious. Like he's got 4 kids and they're all young. See what's going on at home. He's on everything. Next will be at the All-Star game in Philly coming up here soon, and then I'm at this thing. I'll be in the NBA Finals, and I'll be at the Stanley Cup Finals. Like when do you finally just go? You know, I'm going to step back and take a break until football starts.
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think, but at the same time, it's like, I guess he wants to make more money. He wants like a new career path. I think my take is, I think athletes sometimes get bored at home. I don't think they want to sit around and do nothing. I mean, Jason Kelsey is like 40. He's not like retirement age or anything like that. I think they get bored.
But because you spent your whole life being a competitor, being athletic, being active. Your diets were controlled by nutrition regimes. You had scheduled workouts. You had scheduled massage sessions and physical therapy. Like everything about your life was so structured for the sake of a competition that you're now all of a sudden just no longer doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think psychologically it takes a toll on athletes. I really think it does.
That's why I there was this one like moment where I forget which fighting influencer. I want to say it was Jake Paul, I believe, like basically called out NFL players and they were like, "Oh, you guys can't fight for shit, like meet me in the ring." I would love to see some retired football athletes take a stab at being a heavyweight in the MMA, you know? If you're bored, give it a shot. Train for 2 years, then show up, see how it is.
By the way, the Kelsey signed for 3 years for $100 million for their podcast. So, Jason will never have to be, unless like he does something stupid business wise. He'll never hear him like file for bankruptcy or like be on the street corner being homeless. I mean, like I said, he should be set for life and then some.
No, and his media career is proving to be like, I will say this: he is a good football like announcer. Like I do.
Oh, he's great at football.
Yeah.
But why is he doing golf?
No clue, bro. Couldn't tell you.
Ben said it best. It's like you said with him and Kevin Hart, you're trying to get younger audience, their face to watch it, and like I said, it's just the whole thing. It's like they overkill that family until the day comes when Travis and Taylor finally marry.
Yeah.
Wolves won. All right.
Huh? The Wolves. Oh yeah, they did win.
Wolves won, and I am. We just made $800, boys.
And the Canadians are going to beat Buffalo, but yeah, 800. Okay. So, what was that? What was the bet? Was it an over?
No, I took live betting. I took as soon as I found out that the Victor got ejected. Yeah, Wemby got ejected. I took the Wolves to win. I took the Detroit Tigers for under 11 runs, and I took the Tigers to win by 1.5 to cover their run line.
There you go.
$65 pays out $811. So,
wow.
By the way, is it just me or was that Wemby ejection totally valid?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like here, brother.
Well,
yeah, that was.
Who opposed it? Skip Bayless.
I knew it.
I'm telling you, this guy has terrible takes. Oh my god.
Yeah, I saw. When I pulled up the Skip Bayless thing, I was looking. The first thing he said it was wrong that they tossed.
He also spelled wet. I think he also wait. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, I'm looking at it now. Here's the tweet. Oh, I just had it. It just says. I just lost it. Damn it. But he was against Wembanyama.
Come on, don't throw Wembanyama out of a game 4. They were all over him, fouling the hell out of him, so he got frustrated and fought back. Just ridiculous. Just give Minnesota this one. 2-2 going back to San Antonio.
Well, like I said, if he was there tomorrow, there's your first topic. It would have been that whole thing of like, why did he get tossed in this? That would just be over the Knicks. So yeah.
Yeah, it was just I thought so I think we're all in agreement that it was a clear ejection.
Yeah, it was flagrant to him. Like you said, it's an elbow to the face or the chin, and yeah, it was I don't know if he was super dirty, but it was enough to get tossed. I mean, I've seen
it wasn't a basketball play, is how I would put it.
Yeah.
It was gratuitous. I wasn't watching the game, but apparently they were like killing him beforehand. Yeah. I don't know what was happening. I couldn't really see it. I have NBA League Pass, so I can go back and watch. But yeah, I mean, I don't see how that's not an ejection. I don't even know if it changes the series that much. I understand it's 2-2, but I still think the Spurs come out. I still think the Spurs end up winning in 6.
Well, I'll say one thing right now. This will deal with Connor. Watch Game 5 of Wemby, like with the bets on him. He's going to come out pissed.
Oh, for sure. I fully expect him to come out with not only an axe to grind but a point to prove, and it's either he's going to get ejected again, or I could totally see him getting angry and fouling out.
See, I don't see that. I see more of him just like
I agree.
Yeah, going after Rudy and like just being dominated, and especially if I think like I said, if they're home, he'll get the calls like somebody hacks foul, whatever it is, and he probably will say like he probably knows now he cost them Game 4.
Yeah,
and that'll eat him up even more. So then he goes back home. It's like he might pull like a triple double in Game 5.
I will probably take Victor when the game he comes back for a double. I'll probably take the Spurs to cover their spread. I'll take the double on Victor. And I'll take a look at some baseball and put it there. But you got a good point. He's gonna come back hungry.
Yeah, I mean, unless like the league just says we got to have a hearing, and they just, I doubt they would suspend him for Game 5. That might set everybody off. So no, I think he'll just get a fine. So whatever, I don't know, that's what 25,000, 50,000, and then he'll just come out pissed. Yeah.
Yeah, pissed. When you say pissed, I think pissed in a good way, and I agree.
Yeah.
Well, it's hungry. You know, you have a point to prove now. You have an axe to grind. You have someone you want to kick the shit out of on the court.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, he was averaging going in. He was averaging 25 and 12. So that cost him. Like I said, it cost him a lot. So yeah, he'll come out, and like you said, he's just gonna be like, "Look, I cost you guys. I apologize. Here's a fine. Game 5, I won't do any of that stuff, and let's just take it to him and shut them all up."
Yeah. So I do want to talk about the NFL schedule. So on Thursday, it looks like the NFL schedule is being released.
Right.
And there's actually rumors that the Rams are going to be playing the 49ers in the land down under.
In Australia.
Yes. That's been confirmed.
It's official, right?
Yeah.
I do think this is funny, echoing McVay's complaint of last season when he literally mentioned just this. He goes, if we have to play abroad, I think the 49ers also have to play abroad. That was a direct quote from him. And, now we see it happening. So I guess McVay's got some pull, man.
So they're going to be playing on the Friday, September 11th at 10:35. What is the time difference there?
It's like, I thought it was something like 20 hours, but I could be wrong.
Okay. So on 10:35 a.m., I guess that's Australian time.
Their time.
Yeah, and that will be that will be Friday, September 11th, Australian time at 10:35 a.m., which will be Thursday, September 10th at 5:35 Pacific time, which would be an 8:30 game on the East Coast.
Right.
So I guess it somewhat makes more sense than the Europe games, which would be played at like 9:30 Eastern time or 6:30 Pacific time. So it actually makes a little more sense of the Europe.
I love the really early games in Europe because I'm a morning person. So being able to watch some football at so early in the day and then go about my day, mint. Love it.
I hate it, but
I'm like the opposite.
I sleep through them. But usually those games, unless it's a Jet game, it's like, yeah, I can live without this game. I don't need to watch this London because usually we don't send our best games to foreign countries.
Yeah.
Rams Niners, depending on the injury status, could be a really good game. Like that could be one of the better games. It's also a division rivalry that they're sending to Australia.
It's going to be enjoyable to see. I really want to see the NFL's globalization to work well because, again, I would enjoy seeing other teams in other countries because when the Super Bowl champions call themselves the world champions, it will actually mean something, So I'm looking forward to that. I do have one point or an axe to grind in regards to how the NFL drafts their schedule because there's always that thing where if you don't play well, you get an easier schedule the next season. That's usually how it goes. I think personally that's a crock of horse shit because the Giants did not play well at all, and they have a really difficult schedule out of nowhere for no reason. The Patriots played like shit, and they get a really easy schedule. And then, no offense, Ben.
No, they did have an easy schedule.
They did. Objectively, they did. We loved seeing them win, but they did. And the Giants had an equally shitty season, comparable to the Patriots' shitty season, and they have a hard schedule this upcoming season.
A lot of that is also just luck. You can't guarantee a team's going to have an easy or a difficult schedule, even just with things like injuries. And, even with that, like it's hard to fully predict how that's going to – there's always going to be a certain amount of luck when it comes to how easy –
Maybe Mike Vrabel had a say into the schedule. I'm sorry I had to.
I'm curious if not to spin up the gossip mill, but I've been saying this for a while. I legitimately think a DNA test disorder, if a DNA test disorder does prove that that's Vrabel's son, do you think they're going to fire him?
No.
They'll force him out.
I've heard that the Kraft family is now not really happy with him with all this bad press.
Yeah.
First of all, I think it's a little bit of a stretch when people say the kid is his. I mean, like, we have to prove that first. I'm not going to
Timeline wise, that their affair
come
lines up
on.
perfectly with her first
Yeah.
pregnancy, and
No.
she goes and names him Michael. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's very suspicious, but like, look, it wouldn't stun me, but like, I'm not going to say that.
I feel like something would have happened already.
I don't think they would, though.
I'll tell you what I find interesting, though, is that people are holding the receipts from 5 years ago from that boat. Hey, here's some Vrabel's or signature, and he was on this boat, was only 7 months pregnant. Yeah, I just think it's just I think the Crafts are probably, like, to a certain degree, and they're just going to go, we're done with you.
I think it'll take a lot for the Patriots to actually fire him over this, especially when the owner is Robert Kraft.
Ben, what
And
happens to
the
you?
overall coach was a former player that was a big part of the dynasty.
Yes,
Look, these are
he
personal
was.
issues. It's not really the Patriots' problem if this type of thing is going on in his personal life. I mean, the only issue is the sideshow of
They
it all.
suspended Tom for deflating a football. I mean, that's the worst that could happen. I mean, come on.
But I mean, like, they suspend, but like, it's different because that involved the game. That wasn't a personal issue. If he cheated,
Right.
Zell, it wouldn't have mattered. The Patriots he would have gotten suspended.
So,
Right.
you know, I just want to make sure that you're taken care of, Ben. If I do see a headline that they fire him, should I automatically do a wellness check for your house? Like, do I need to call somebody for you?
It's if you thought that 2 week stretch, a little 2 week stretch I have between the Celtics and Bruins, yeah, you know, it could be worse. Trust me.
Although they probably already have their next coach there, Josh McDaniels.
He's not a head coach. He's not a head coach quality guy. That's not who I want.
Okay.
That's basically like a Belichick disciple. Like, I've seen this move already before.
The Belichick coaching tree.
Like I think Josh is a good overall offensive coordinator, head coach. I've kind of seen that movie already before. I'd rather go outside the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, you were talking before, Nick, about the outside games also. 2 that got leaked. Commanders at the Jags in London. And then the second one, our division game, Texans versus the Jags in London. So that's actually back-to-back. The Jags are playing 2 consecutive weeks over in London. October 11th and October
they don't call them the London Jaguars for nothing.
Yeah, and
think
wasn't
it's
there
funny
a thing
that they
talking
have
about
such
them
a
they were
high
going to play in
approval rating.
Orlando this year? Because they're fixing up their stadium or something like that. There's been talk about, I guess, maybe not this year and then next year, they want to move the Jags for 1 year to Orlando.
Because of their stadium?
I guess they're going to not demolish it, but redo it.
Yeah. The 2027 NFL season home games will be at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. Wow.
There you go.
Well, they did a poll also. But going back to the London Jags, they did a poll, and the most popular NFL team in Europe is the Jags.
Yeah,
Which-
they play there.
Well, yeah, they do, but I also think that's funny because, like, man, the Jets played close to me. I grew up in a Jets household. I did everything in my power to make sure I was not a Jets fan. You know, just because they're local to you, it doesn't mean that's like the team you're going to root for.
That's you individually, though. That won't be true about a collective group.
And also over there too, the Khan family's big over in London. I mean, that whole thing of the Jags, they got the soccer team over in Fulham. So yeah, they got businesses all over the place over there. So,
but you know, the Jaguars are good now. I mean, for most of our lives, the Jaguars weren't good, but they're actually good. The thing is that it's going to be a while before we ever see a team have a home internationally. Like, I think it'll be a really long time before we see a London football team.
I think the
In
timeline's
London-
like 6 to 10 years.
I think it'll be way
really,
longer.
There's a better chance to me that I think they expand the March Madness bracket even more before they get a team that's overseas.
First of all, if you were to have international teams, you would have to have multiple international teams. There is zero chance you have 32 or 31 American teams and 1 team in London. I mean, in the NFL, there aren't even Canadian teams.
right?
I think what they'll
Like,
do.
It seems like such a stretch that in a sport where there's no Canadian teams, the only one of all the 4 major sports, that they're going to be the first to have a London team. That doesn't make any sense to me. And the issue, of course, is the time zones. It would make no sense to have one team in Europe in a completely different time zone than the rest of the league. It would actually make more sense to have a team play in Mexico City than it would to have a team play in London. At least in Mexico City, that's the same time zone. It's not much different from traveling to a different part of America in Mexico City.
I'll revise my statement. I don't know 6 to 10 years in Europe, but I do know 6 to 10 years for another country to get an NFL team.
But don't you think Canada would get another country before Europe does? Another team before Europe does?
I mean, maybe, but that also comes down to, like, do they even want one? I know Europe and London has expressed interest in wanting one. They would actually put funding towards it. So, you know, when you ask, like, what would they do? I could see in 6 to 10 years, if the London route was the Europe route was going to be the way that it's going to go, the three states or countries, rather, that have the most popularity with football is Germany, London, and I'm blanking on the last one. I want to say Belgium.
Right.
I believe. Last time I looked.
Do you think Germany can support an NFL team, though?
100% yes.
I don't know.
100% yes. Germany is essentially the de facto head of the EU. They absolutely have the pull and the finances.
No. I don't mean like the money I mean like, would German people in Berlin support an NFL team? Similar to how like
German sports events go much like this. You day drink, you watch the sport, you have 80% of Germany's population already in the bag right there. Like I have a lot of friends that live in Germany. I've got like, you know, I've seen their sporting events. That's essentially it. That's the recipe for success. Day drinking and the sport itself. They're there.
There's soccer,
but they're not day drinking watching American sport. They're not watching baseball or football. They're watching soccer.
Well, again, as I said, out of all the Europe nations, Germany has the second highest, you know, watch rate for football. So it's fertile soil. I wouldn't say they're already there, but in the next, you know, 6 to 10 years, I could see 3 teams popping up in Europe, and then that would balance it out somewhat. I just wonder what would happen to the NFL schedule.
They should honestly just put all the teams that have played the most international games just over there, so they're just used to it.
Well,
that would be a terrible curse, bro.
But here's the thing, though. You would have to create a whole Europe division.
Yes.
You would have to have at least 4 teams. I mean, unless you have an expansion, you would have to have a whole division that's all Europe, and then you would have to work around the schedule so that it's not unfair to the teams that have to travel there and to the European teams that have to travel back to the States to then play games in the United States. I mean, you could make it work if you really wanted, but the logistics to me seem like it almost seems unworkable. There is no league where you have teams playing on opposite sides of the ocean. Like, am I wrong about that? Has that worked anywhere?
Soccer.
By the way, once upon a time, they did an NFL Europe, and teams were in England, Germany, Netherlands, Scotland, and Spain before it dissolved in 2007. And that was over to unprofitability.
Yeah, you see?
Wait,
in soccer, do they have soccer leagues that are cross-continental?
No.
Okay. And I know they have Euro leagues. They have
Liga, you're right, English Premier League.
There's no leagues where it's like you have American teams and European teams and Asian teams. That would never happen.
Right.
I suppose it could happen in the future. And by the way, I'm in favor of playing games in Europe. I don't personally love it because, like I said, the timing of the games, it's just not convenient for me. But it's a good idea. Like, wanting to make the game more global is a good idea. We live in a global world. The internet is all global. So you should try to make the game more global. And it's obviously working for the NFL because they've been doing it for well over a decade, and they're continuing. Like, if it didn't work, they wouldn't keep doing it. I'm almost surprised it took this long to play a game in Australia. You'd think that maybe they would have, because Australia is a Western type of nation. Like they're like a European country, or they're just on the other side of the world, like culturally speaking. So you'd think maybe they would have played there earlier.
I think in the NFL they'll play anywhere. I mean, New Zealand, Africa. If they could play in Moscow, they would. I mean, they would.
Yeah, they would.
Netherlands.
Yeah, well, none of that surprises me. But yeah, eventually they'll play in the Middle East, probably.
Middle East, Tokyo. I mean, they played exhibition games there, but I'm surprised they haven't played in
Tokyo
Japan
game
yet.
would go so hard.
Huh?
What's that?
Tokyo game would go so hard.
It would.
Eagles back in the early 90s played a preseason game in Tokyo.
Really?
Yeah, that was during like when Norman Brayman was there. Yeah, that was crazy. I had to say, I was like Reggie White on. Oh my god, like, I couldn't imagine. And so you're flying over 100 guys. It was like the first game. So I couldn't imagine what the bill was for that.
So we're gonna do our pour one out session,
Okay.
which is a toast to the fan bases who realized today that their playoff window might be closing. Actually, the therapy session could go to anybody. The toast, it could be to anybody. Pour one out. Who I would pour one out for right now, I would pour one out for let me get this banner together. I would probably pour one out for Brooklyn Net fans. Like we talked about earlier, I think they're the ones that need the stiffest drink tonight of everybody in sports. I really think it's got to be the Brooklyn Net fans. They went through this horror show of a season just to get the 6th pick in the draft. I don't know. Maybe because I personally am friends with a lot of Brooklyn Net fans, it seems that way to me.
I'm sorry for them, man.
Yeah, and it takes a lot for a Boston fan to have feelings for somebody.
True.
Holy shit.
I got an easy pour out. Philadelphia Flyers bounced yesterday. Sixers today. First time ever this has happened the same weekend. So yeah. It wasn't, like I said, last night wasn't as bad, but like you said, that was a close game and they were predicted to lose. But today, man, that was a bloodbath on Broad Street. So
well, they essentially went through us because the Bruins lost the night before the Celtics.
Yeah.
So basically, hey, it's crazy how sports work. Philly was rocking on an all-time high a week or two ago with both the Flyers and the Sixers. We're obviously in Cancun, and then about a week or so later, they're both now in Cancun. Back-to-back nights too. So welcome to the club, Philly. You're right here.
Yes.
I'd rather be in Cancun than Philly, or New York, or New Jersey.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I've been already playing some golf right now on the range as of late because the Bruins and Celtics are already there with me. So I've been loving that. I'm not gonna lie.
I've been doing the same. I'll put my a little earbud in where I can listen to the live broadcast of like a baseball game while I'm on the greens. It's bad because sometimes I'll be playing really well and I'll hear someone hit a home run, fuck up my parlay, and I'll chunk the ground immediately. Life could not be worse.
Yeah, you got a little 6-iron trying to hit it over.
That's when you turn around and you tell your boys that you're the gardener and you're just doing your duty.
Yeah.
I think for me, pour one out, I'd have to choose. I think I'm just going to be a dickhead and choose the Wizards. Nothing.
Really?
Yeah, sure. Congratulations. You're getting first picks. You're going to be shit next year anyway. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what does it matter?
At least they have the 1st pick and not the 6th pick.
I mean, like that, like what does that amount to? Like, let's say even that it makes them better and it makes them the best shitty team. Then you're still just the best of the shit. That's the problem with poverty franchises.
Shitty team than the worst shitty team, even if you think that's true. But
from a competitor standpoint, from being both a fan and a competitor standpoint, being the best of the worst is accepted mediocrity.
No. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's better. I'd rather be the best of the worst teams than the worst of the worst teams. So if you look at the Nets and the Wizards right now, the Wizards at least have more of an opportunity than the Nets do. I'm not saying the Wizards are in a great position, but I'd rather have the 1 pick, especially in this year's draft, than the 6th pick after a season like that. And if you really hit on the number 1 pick, that can change your franchise trajectory. It really can.
Speaking of the Wizards, so I have a friend of mine from college that lives down in the Washington area. So in March, I think in March I saw him. We went to a Wizards game. It was actually the game that Kid got hurt. If you guys remember that the night that Kid got hurt, and then of course he had the was the lung situation he had with it, the punctured lung I think Kid had. It was the game that my buddy and I went to, and just the Wizard fan base, it's like just so sad. Like the game, like the games that I go to there, like it. it's really hard to kind of explain. Like, obviously the Knicks fan, Knicks fans, Celtics fans, like you kind of have that like Northeast corridor fans, like massive passion fans. I think the Wizards fans want to feel like they have passion for their team, but they just see like the overall shit. Like they kind of gone through constantly. And like I felt bad in a way. I was wearing my Celtics shirt at the Wizards game because there's really nothing else basketball stuff I was wearing. And a bunch of workers come up to me. They're just like, well, it must be nice to have a competent basketball team. I'm like, you know what? I said, I feel for you guys. Like I'm not gonna sit here and wear Celtics, thing just to freaking just rub in your face. No, I wouldn't do that. I'm going to a Wizard Pistons game. Like I don't care about it, but like it's just the vibes at the games are just so like nah. But like I think they want to have something good for them. So
you know what it reminds me of? This may be going way back. It was a spoof football movie. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Draft Day?
What?
Draft Day?
No. There was these two fans that they would sit in the stands and the comebacks. That's what it was called. The comebacks. And they're the two fans that going like, we believe, but they're soulless and dead inside. Like that's what I think of when I think of a Wizards fan at a game.
Yeah. No, it's really, really true because like I told my buddy, because it was actually the night of the USA Venezuela final game. So I talked to my buddy and I said by the third quarter, because the game was kind of close, but like the Wizards didn't even have like their main guys playing, like not even like Trey, not even AD, like none of their like actual good players, and they don't have a lot of great players, so it was just kind of like pick'ems at this point. I was watching Anthony Gill, I think, in the starting five, so that's pretty much everything you got to say about that. But I turned to my buddy and said, all right, we can leave out the third quarter, and I would say almost half the fans like me, it was like kind of a half sell crowd anyway, but everybody was just in the concourse walking around, just like joking, shooting the shit. Like it was just like, okay. Like,
here's how bad of a franchise they are. You know when the last time they've won 50 games in a season?
Probably
like our teams have done
2014.
What would you say?
Had to be one of the Walt Beal years.
14-15 season, was it then?
How about 1978-79?
Oh, I was right. It's over 30
it was
years.
that long. Wow.
Yeah, they won 49 one year. They were close. Yeah, 2016-17, they were 49-33. They won 54 that year, and in 74-75 was the only year they won 60. But like the rest of you look at their franchise history, man, there are some brutal years. Yeah, they were the Bullets. They weren't even the Wizards. They won the last time won 50. That was like Wes Unseld, Kevin Grady, Cup champion. Probably won the title that year. But yeah, that's how long it's been. It's brutal being a Washington basketball fan.
Yeah, I would love to go to a game back. I love to go back to a game and just talk to some fans and just kind of get like an overall picture of like how do you guys like kind of go through every single year? Like I'll be point blank. Like, do you guys drink a lot? Do you guys just kind of be like, all right, we kind of expect not a lot, like, because I want to kind of pick their brains a little bit, you know?
Why Wizards fans?
Sure, like
See, I'm the opposite. I want to pick the brains of fans of winning teams. Because I already know what it feels like to be a fan of a losing team.
Go ahead, pick my brain. I'm a Lions fan.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Wizards fans are also, I mean, not all of them, but many of them are also Nationals fans.
Dude, I love watching the Nationals play, man.
They've at least experienced some winning in the recent past.
Yeah.
They're also Commanders fans, probably, most of them.
More of that, yeah.
Oh, wait.
Because, I mean, my brother lives in that area. That's mostly just out of town. Those people live down, they're mostly out of towners. Like, they grew up in Philly, they grew up in Boston, and they're down there for work.
Speaking of Philly, really quick, because my buddy who's a Sixers fan actually just put in a group chat from my college. Do you guys know about the PA announcer retired?
Yes, Matt Cord.
Okay. All right. Maybe I was like working all day, so I just.
Yeah, this was his last game. So it was funny. They've had a bad, like I said, their week was this. He retired. They got smoked today, got knocked down 4, and then their announcing crew, I think courtesy of awful announcing was ranked 29th out of 30th in terms of like how good they are at broadcasting. It's just like they got crapped on pretty good by the people who did that critique and stuff. But it's just like, man, what a week. So
Yeah.
But yeah. By the way, another person I was going to pour this out too. I don't know if you guys heard about this too. I just thought about this. Is Bryson DeChambeau? Think of what's going on with him. He's gonna leave Live. He didn't go back to the PGA.
He's focusing on his per his last statement. His intention is to grow his YouTube channel,
and not do the PGA.
Well, the PGA won't let him back.
Well, they could, but he doesn't want to pay the fines and probably all the other crap. Like he's probably thinking like what? I mean, if he would have taken Koepka's deal, you're talking a year, then you go back. But he probably thinks he did nothing wrong except go there. But it's just like, and the penalty's going to even be worse. That's what I said. So, but yeah, just to get rid of golf altogether, and really you're doing YouTube and maybe a major. I don't get it.
I mean, personally, I think Bryson will eventually make the PGA return, but that's only if he manages to grow his YouTube channel to like such a size. Like if he becomes a golfing influencer on YouTube of the likes of which, like, you know, Mr. Beast or PewDiePie at the height of his, like, you know, YouTube fame, you know, if he managed to have that level of clout on YouTube, the PGA would undoubtedly change the I would say the specifics of his return, because golf does need expansion. Like they are a sport that needs this YouTube exposure. And if Bryson can do that, they are eventually going to meet in the middle. It just won't be for years to come.
Yeah.
Right. Because it sounds like after the show, no matter what, Liv is toast. I saw it today, and there was nobody at that tournament.
Dude, it was such a funny sort of like, we're still playing.
Yeah.
Like he sent out that email. He's like, we're still going full steam ahead. Yeah, no, you are, but you never bothered answering whether or not after this is over, full steam ahead, what's coming up next.
There is not there. It'll be if it is, you're talking a selective tournament. It'll be you know, at Doral. It'll be maybe a Saudi Arabia, but it won't be these other ones if they get the funding. But or games were funny, but you know the Saudis are out. So, but how much? I wonder how much can you make off YouTube?
A lot.
A lot.
Like could DeChambeau make like 10 mil, 5 mil?
It depends on the following that he has, but it's weird to me for a professional athlete to want to focus on that when he's without question young enough to continue golfing.
Yeah.
Like so I don't know how much YouTubers make. He has 2.69 million subscribers, so he could make a good amount of money off of YouTube. But I feel like he'd make more as a golfer. I mean, I'm guessing it's an educated guess, but you'd think he'd make more as a golfer than a YouTuber.
He's 32
I'll give
years
you a
old.
good stat line to answer your question. Like, because I'm comparing it to other massive YouTube channels. Forget just like the nature of what the content there is, just their size, right? Markiplier, I don't watch him, but he is a massive YouTube channel. Just had the success with that private release of the movie that made a bank load. He makes about 1.6 million a month on average, and that's estimates from his subscriber count. So, you know, if Bryson can hit those levels, he's expected to make anywhere from over 700 grand a month to, you know, a couple mil every other month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who has it better than YouTubers with really, really big followings?
Yeah.
Nobody in the world has it better than them. Like the rest of my life could turn to shit and I'd be happy because you could just make so much money off of making YouTube videos. 700 grand a month? That's insane.
And that's like on a low end, because that's not including what you get paid in sort of sponsorship deals, what you get paid in terms of they give initiatives or incentives to these big streamers so that if a particular product they do sponsor hits a threshold, they get a massive pay bump in their contract. So this is just going off subscriber count, which is only one form in which YouTubers make their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
Bryson will make bank there. He will.
Yeah.
But don't you think he can make more golfing?
I mean,
Definitely.
I'll put it to you this way, right? Let's say you're playing at the Miami Cadillac Open. I think the purse for that was like 20 mil for winning, if I'm not mistaken. You have to get in the top 3 or top 5 or better to really make a sizable return on or not even a sizable return, but to make a good amount of profit. Any one of us who make it in the top 20 and make 80,000, we're happy. But for a golfer with their lifestyle, they need a big purse. They need to make it high into that tournament. That depends on their ability to play. With YouTube, it depends on your ability to just shit out a video.
Yeah, that's a good point. Then you might lose your ability to play before you lose your ability to make a YouTube video.
Okay. Yeah. By the way, today with the live thing, he made 1.5 million with his third place finish.
That's a month that's a month at YouTube, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the winner got 4 mil. I'm just going down the list here, but yeah.
I gotta ask everybody, did any of our parlays hit today, boys?
I didn't make any.
I didn't do any.
I didn't do any.
I don't do first of all, when I bet, I never do parlays.
I really don't even gamble, to be honest with you.
I make bets. I don't bet on the NBA playoffs much. Most of my betting is college football, NFL, and college basketball.
Betting on college football is wild work to me.
Betting anything is not easy.
No, it's not. But like my issue with college football is you have future NFL Hall of Famers playing against dudes who are really good in their local like tri-state area. And so like I'll pull up DraftKings and I'll look at a college football game and it'll be like, oh, this team's the favorite to win, negative 5,000 before the game's even started. And this team is the underdog by like plus 3,000.
Well, there's a lot of games. I don't bet on those games. I don't bet on the 20-point spreads, the 30-point spreads. I bet on games that are a little closer. Some of those games are like that. They're not all like that. I think college football is the most fun sport to bet. But I also bet NFL and college basketball. NBA, I don't bet on much. I do a little bit, not much. Baseball, I really don't bet on at all.
Right.
I'm not big on betting baseball. I think baseball is the least popular betting sport of all.
It's such a crapshoot. Like, because
baseball to me is so profitable. I make so much bank off of baseball because people get into the weeds way too much on it. The only 3 things you should ever concern yourself with is a run line, a money line, or strikeouts over and unders. That's it. Strikeouts, overs, and unders is like getting to the weeds. If you just stay run lines and money lines, you're fine.
Well, just because you can make money off of betting baseball doesn't mean I can. So
true. Yeah, that's true. I could not sit at a blackjack table the same way I could sit at a roulette table.
Right. Like just, it's not necessarily an easy thing to do. It's not easy. No, like people talk about how hard it is to bet sports. It's like, or certain sports. It all evens out because the same thing is true for the other side of the bet. Like basketball can be very frustrating to bet on because you can lose and you're ahead the whole game very easily. But the reverse is also true. If you're losing the whole game, well, you're still alive.
That's true. Is anyone watching the hockey game right now?
Yeah.
No.
I saw the first period and I'll be heading to bed because I got work tomorrow. But yeah, no, I saw the first. It was like they were beating the crap out of each other.
I mean, I also have to get to bed. I just have to ask this one question. Do we really think that what do you call it? The Golden Knights can make a comeback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Tortorella coaching, and they got a veteran squad, with Stone out, but they still got Eichel. They got a really good team. I do think they have a chance. I don't know if they would beat Colorado, though. I still feel Colorado's the beast. Although, like you said, Minnesota's going to give them a tough run too.
Vegas just tied it. If you're just wondering,
they tied it.
They just tied it.
Oh, I didn't get to put my bet in time. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So he's never going to come back. Literally, like 5 seconds later, they tied it.
That's the thing about that team, man. That GM just doesn't give two whats about anything, man. He just does what he wants to do, and like with picking up players and doing this, like you said, like
he's like the Dodgers of hockey.
Huh?
Like the Dodgers of hockey.
I don't know if I'd say the Dodgers. They're more of like the Raiders type of thing back in the day, in terms of like they don't go by a set of rules. They go by their own rules. It's because if it was the Dodgers are
at least a winning franchise.
True. Yeah.
They're at least a winning franchise.
Yeah. They haven't. I think they might have had their whole existence. They might have had one so year, but the rest of them, they're always either they've won the cup, lost the cup final, and they were always high up in terms of the playoffs. Yeah. Like they never have had like multiple bad years in Vegas. They just have they came in that way aggressive and they haven't changed since. Because their GM was like a former Ranger, former Cap one, whatever it was. Yeah, they're just built that way. They made good trades and yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, it seems like the Golden Knights are super popular in Vegas too.
Yes.
Very popular for an expansion team, and you wouldn't think like hockey would be so big in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean they're very popular. I mean, no one who isn't. It surprised me more than anything else was the Raiders. I think last year they said they were 30th in attendance.
Yeah,
nobody goes to games, and then when they go, they're away. I mean, the away team is the home team.
I was in Vegas for the Raiders Cowboys game this year.
Right.
It was, I mean, Raiders and Cowboy fans, I said this, they look like they're AI generated.
Yeah. What are they, like Mies or something?
Like, no, from the way they look like, it's like, oh my God. Like it looked like they look like parodies of Raider and Cowboy fans. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, being in Vegas for those games is pretty fun. Tough to get a seat in the sports book, but all right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's our show this week. We'll be back next week with another edition of ETB Lounge. You can follow us across social media at the ETB Lounge and the Under the Bench Network at ETB Network. And you can go to youtube.com/ETB Network. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you guys next week.
See ya.
Later.